Good afternoon and welcome to the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners meeting of July the 23rd, 2019. I'll start off by saying happy birthday to our fellow Commissioner, Charlie Justice.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Where else would I want to be?
I know, exactly.
For 8 hours.
Celebrating with your adopted family
Absolutely.
here at the County Commission.
Absolutely.
So, with that, we're very pleased and honored to have our invocation today by Monsignor Robert Morris, who's with St. Catherine of Siena Catholic Church, Clearwater. And thereafter, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Gerard. Please stand.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the women and men who serve our county in leadership. We ask that you send your Spirit upon our county commissioners this afternoon to assist them in their responsibilities as our public servants. We're so grateful to be living in a democracy that serves our residents and visitors of our community. Help our county leaders interact with and be advocates for their constituents. May we always be attentive to the issues impacting the most vulnerable in our community, especially the homeless, those seeking employment and affordable housing. Inspire us to care for those in need among our children, elderly, and families, that we may be committed to addressing the common good in the various services that we provide, our public safety services, our schools and libraries, as well as our public parks. May we always be mindful of protecting the natural resources of our environment. Lord, guide us by your wisdom. Do not let us be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us in a common mission to know your will, to make it our own and live it in our lives. May everything we say and do be pleasing to you. And may God strengthen us, bring our work to completion, and let our lives glorify you now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, we have two presentations. Well, it is my pleasure today to ask Paul Kazi, Jolanda Jordan, and Kristen O'Brien from the Parks and Conservation Resources Department, as well as David Kantz, who is the chair of the Pinellas County Park Advisory Board, to come join me up here at the podium. They will be accepting the National Park and Recreation Month proclamation. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
It's good to see you again. Hi, good to see you. Hi, Paul. Hello, nice to see you too. Parks and recreation programs enhance our quality of life by contributing to a healthy lifestyle, community building, economic development, and environmental sustainability. And parks and recreation activities and leisure experiences provide opportunities for people to live, grow, and develop into contributing members of society, as well as boost the economy, attract new business, and increase tourism. And Pinellas County's Parks and Preserves provides outlets for physical activities, socialization, scenic beauty that create personal connections and experiences which help to strengthen families. And Pinellas County parks, playgrounds, nature fields, open spaces, and historic sites make the community an attractive and desirable place to live, work, play, and visit, and contribute to our ongoing economic vitality. And Pinellas County's parks, preserves, greenways, and open spaces provide a welcome respite from our fast-paced, high-tech lifestyles, although I will say you often see a lot of people on their iPhones, while protecting and preserving our natural resources. So hopefully what they're doing is they're looking up a tree species and helping to protect the environment.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry. The National Parks and Recreation Association and the Florida Recreation and Park Association designated July as National Parks and Recreation Month. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that July 2019 be recognized as National Parks and Recreation Month. And we have two proclamations to give, but before I turn this over to Paul Kazi, I really have to say, you know, here in Pinellas, through the foresight of many past county commissioners and county administrators, they set up a very aggressive program to produce world-class parks. And we indeed have world-class parks all through this county where people can go out and enjoy nature. We also have both the Whedon Preserve as well as the Brooker Creek Preserve. Both environmental centers are present in those locations that are manned by wonderful volunteers and are open to the public. We just have so many beautiful assets here that everyone can truly appreciate and enjoy. And it truly is the crown jewel of Pinellas County, all of these parks, preserves, and open spaces. So Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like today give special recognition to the men and women who keep our parks and preserve safe and clean, especially those who work outdoors. You know, they're out there every day, whether it's a heat index of 110 or a wind chill of 30 degrees. So they definitely have a difficult job, but I think they really enjoy being able to work in such beautiful spaces. Dave, Kristen?
Well, thanks, Paul. I am honored to be chair of the Parks and Conservation Resources Advisory Board, and I hope that we will be able to provide and continue to provide assistance to you and the Board of County Commissioners for the next foreseeable future. Thank you.
I'd just like to add that it is truly a privilege to work with so many skilled and dedicated workers in the Parks and Conservation Department. They work so hard and diligently every day to keep our parks beautifully landscaped and well-maintained.
And then to maybe finalize that comment, we're so lucky that they are also not only the stewards of our parks, but they're the voice of our parks. And so often, citizens who go to these parks on a regular basis become friends with the rangers and the park maintenance folks and everybody else that are there. And so we also create some special relationships just through that as well. So many thanks to all of our staff and all of the volunteers, and that really, like I said, make this our crown jewel. So thank you so much.
Would be good. Dave, good to see you, sir. Dave. That's good.
Okay, the next thing is our Doing Things Employee Recognition Award. And Kristen O'Brien, please come on back. This worked out just great today. Hi. Our employees work hard every day to make our community better. In our ongoing video program, we recognize individuals who exemplify the dedication of our Pinellas County team. It's only through our employees and the excellent work that they do that we can fulfill our vision to be the standard for public service in America. Every day, Kristen O'Brien extends a warm welcome to guests at Fort DeSoto Park, our largest park, answering questions and educating them about the park's unique wildlife. She started her career at Pinellas County Parks Call Center, but was quickly promoted to park ranger. Her love for our outdoor spaces is apparent in countless ways. She keeps the park safe and clean, whether it's closing up after sunset or maintaining the busy campground. Kristen's passion for her work improves the visits of millions of tourists and residents. And so, Mr. Administrator, would you like to come down and join us? And before we play your video, would you like to say anything?
Sure.
Okay.
It's really been an honor to be nominated for this recognition, and I feel like a real part of the Pinellas County family now, and I love what I do. I'm just honored. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, we're going to play the video.
What's it like going to work every day at one of America's best beaches?
When I told my friends that I'm a park ranger at Fort DeSoto, they were all just like overwhelmed. They asked, "How did you get that? That is a dream job. You are so lucky." And I really do feel that way. Every day, this is my view, this is my office.
A longtime resident, Kristen O'Brien, was no stranger to the many parks and outdoor activities available here in Pinellas County.
Good morning, this is Kristen at Fort DeSoto. How may I help you?
A passion for nature and for educating people first brought her to the Parks Department call center. But it didn't take long for Kristen to move up and outdoors.
I mentioned to my supervisor that I was interested in becoming a park ranger, and an internal position opened up, and I applied, and of course my manager was on board and really excited for me.
Since arriving at Fort DeSoto in April, Kristen has quickly warmed up to her new workplace. You'll find her helping visitors get checked in at the waterfront campground, or keeping the park safe by investigating potential hazards, like this Australian pine tree that was struck by lightning. She takes pride in her work, especially in the little things.
At the campground, we've had multiple reviews about our restrooms, just how clean they were, and you know, that's important. People really appreciate that sort of thing.
But Kristen is always happy to take a moment away from her duties to answer questions about the park and its fascinating inhabitants.
Especially for out-of-state or out-of-town visitors, it's great to educate them on different plants, wildlife, sea critters, so that's always fun. They ask, "Oh, what kind of bird is that?" "Oh, it's a cormorant," or "Oh, that's a pelican," you know.
Her favorite part of the job?
I love my coworkers. We're just such a strong team. Everybody has been so helpful. It's really like a family.
Working at the beach may be a close second, though.
My favorite is coming out on the weekends and seeing just the beach filled with people enjoying themselves and taking advantage of our weather in Florida.
Sunshine, water, the outdoors. It's no wonder Pinellas County's parks are so popular with our guests and employees.
I'm Kristen O'Brien, and I am Pinellas County.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. You have the best office going. But I've been to the park so many times, and people and the staff really do enjoy what they do. But it shows, and it shows in the way you manage the park, and we wouldn't have such a great park system without your dedication. So thank you so much for everything you do. And on behalf of my dog, who absolutely loves the beach, thank you. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Family, come on forward. We'll put you in the picture.
Sweet.
I'm going to have you stand right here. Okay. Thank you. Go. Perfect. Do we need to step over a little bit? Okay. There we go. We got to get centered here. All right. Hold on 1 second.
Thank you.
So next, it is a personal privilege to welcome Barbara Hoffman, who is the business director for Friends of Brooker Creek Preserve. And as she comes forward, we have many dedicated volunteers, but she's probably one of the most dedicated. She's been at Brooker Creek since day one and has truly been the champion. And so, and gotten people involved and done some really magical events and really cares deeply about this area. So,
That's
Barbara,
true.
thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting us to talk about Brooker Creek, and especially at this time, this month of celebration. And just dovetailing what you were saying, Commissioner Seal, about all the great parks and preserves we have here in Pinellas County, thanks to the commissioners of the past who've put those together. One thing that I think is so important is that Pinellas County is the most densely populated county in the entire state of Florida. More people packed here per square inch than anywhere else in Florida, yet we have room for all these beautiful parks. We've set aside these beautiful parks and preserves, so that's great. So, do y'all see what I'm seeing here?
We now.
Okay, with the PowerPoint presentation, because I'm ready with that. So I'm here to talk about the Friends of Brooker Creek and what we do now. We've evolved over time to, we've done many things over time. We've been around 25 years now, so I'm just going to quickly talk about today. When we were asked, can you talk about what the Friends do? I said, yeah, how many hours do we get? And they said, you have 7 minutes, so let's roll. So our board of directors, we always keep in mind our mission for the Friends of Brooker Creek, and that's to provide public support for the preserve through fundraising, volunteer programs, and education to ensure that the preserve remains a natural wilderness for future generations. Whatever we do, that is our goal. And our number one priority is the ecological health of Brooker Creek Preserve. We have 10 priorities that we follow through with, and that is our number one. Our budget for this fiscal year is $66,650, and I know that seems like nothing compared to the budgets you deal with, but for us, that's a lot. Our income comes from memberships, donations, special events, grants, educational activities, and we run a nature store. And so I wanted to talk about what some of those special events are that we do. The first one that we do of the year is called Wildlife Safari. We do this each April, where children come and they get to learn all about the wildlife that lives at Brooker Creek Preserve. We set up wildlife stations along our education center trail, and the families with their kids walk along to each of these wildlife stations. And at each station, they learn about a particular wild animal that lives at Brooker Creek Preserve. There is a wild animal there with a wild animal holder or a trainer, and the kids get to get up close and personal with them and learn all about them. They carry along a passport, which gets stamped as they pass each of these stations, and at the end they get a prize. So it's a lot of fun, and that brings in about 1,200 people each time. The next big event we do is called the Fall Wildflower Festival. We do this the first Saturday of each October. It's free, the whole family comes, and we really celebrate the beautiful, natural, blooming wildflowers that are happening at Brooker Creek. They're really everywhere. It's alive with color there. So we have events along our trails. We have a butterfly tent set up with wildflowers inside and butterflies that the kids can hold and look at and feed. We have crafts for children. We have wildflowers for sale so people can take these home and enhance their own yards for wildlife. And that usually brings in about 900 to 1,000 people. We also started something new 2 years ago, called Owloween, and that's always on the Saturday closest to Halloween. This is something that families can come to. It's not a scary event at all, but it celebrates the owls that live at Brooker Creek Preserve. And so we partner with Clearwater Audubon Society with this. They bring in real owls, and they set them up where the kids can see them up close and personal. As you can see there in the middle, we have a human-sized owl that walks around. We do owl face painting. Families can make their own owl nest boxes to bring home and hang in their trees in their backyard. And then we have 2 local Rotary clubs we've partnered with, and they come and help us make owl pancakes, We have an all day long, all you can eat, $5 owl pancake breakfast. And it's really good, and that's where we make our money for this event. We also do night hikes. And let me preface this too. Everything we do is, well, we do it all by volunteers, but it's to enhance the programs that the staff do at Brooker Creek. We don't do anything, we don't duplicate efforts at all. It's just to enhance what the staff does. So night hikes, the staff gets off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're not allowed to do night hikes, so that's something that we've taken up. And that's a really fun time where we limit it to 30 people per hike. We do this 9 times a year, once a month, and people can come out and see what the preserve is like at night. We allow them to bring flashlights, but we don't allow them to turn them on. We just have them there in case something happens. But you hear owls at night, you hear coyotes howl. We see fireflies, and in the picture there, we carry black lights with us, and we look for scorpions that show up with this brilliant green color at night. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a beautiful place to be at night. It's completely different than the daytime. Another program we do is called Off the Beaten Path Hikes, and these are where we take the public, whoever signs up, this is one of our fundraisers, they can go and see parts of the preserve that are closed to the public. These are beautiful areas that should be seen but can't because it's closed to the public, and it's a lot of fun, very educational too. In this particular photo, everyone's looking at this gorgeous, beautiful native butterfly orchid that's in bloom right there. And we have Return the Preserve work days where we invite the public to come help us remove exotic plants or invasive plants that are just taking over areas where they shouldn't and returning the preserve back to its natural beauty. Because I only have 7 minutes, we have so much more to do, so I just made a list. We run a nature store. We have a gallery now in the auditorium where there's a different artist every 3 months. We tend the Wildflower Garden. We do group hikes for special requests. We do a program called Music in the Woods. It's an outdoor concert 3 times a year. We run a birdathon once a year. We have art classes and workshops. We support all the volunteers and staff. And then there are 3 more things that I forgot to put on here. One is we just started a beekeeping club, and we have 10 beehives now that we're hoping to make Brooker Creek honey to sell in our nature store. We also have a magnificent website, and we do a newsletter every 2 months. But last but not least, this year is our anniversary. The Environmental Education Center has been there for 15 years, and the Friends of Brooker Creek has been around 25 years this year. So we had a big birthday party in February. We invited all the volunteers and all the friends and all the public who wanted to come. It was fabulous. We had some great speakers, but everyone got to take home a birthday present, and so I brought enough for everybody up here. So if you don't mind taking one and passing it down, that's for you to keep. And that's it. So thank you. I think I have 3 minutes of question time if you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions or comments? It's 8,800 acres, right?
Yes.
There we go.
8,000 acres, the largest preserve. Yep.
In
Yep.
county.
Right. It's huge.
All right.
Yeah.
And when's the next night hike scheduled?
That will be in, let's see, September.
In September, when it's a
We
little bit
don't-
cooler?
We don't do it in the summertime
I know,
because the
good
hike
idea.
leaders, well, it's not the mosquitoes, there really aren't very many. They like to go to bed early, and you can't even start the night hike till like 9:30 at night, so they're like, it's way past our bedtime.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No question, just thank you for all you do. We
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you, thank you. Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, next is the partner presentation, and we have hashtag Pure Pinellas by Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We all know in Pinellas that there's nothing more pure than our love of art and culture, and music is included in that. And one of the things that we believe in is pouring experiences into our youth. And we are very pleased to have from the Lellman Powell Center, under the direction of Coach Dion, the Lellman Powell Drum Band.
Heard them practicing outside my window. ever and ever and ever went on.
Welcome. I've been greeted by this group before at different places.
Yeah.
What an honor to have you all here today.
Let them get all set up.
We all gonna fit?
This is, in case you can't figure out, it might get a little loud. Wow.
You can move up if you want.
You can come around here if you need to.
Sir! E-A-L 18.
I want to welcome Coach Dion, who's going to come up and say a few words.
Great. Awesome. I'm ready to start dancing.
I just want to say that it's an honor. Thank you for having us here. And it's an honor and privilege being working with the Sheriff's PAL Drumline. I'm a deputy at the Pinellas County Jail, and it's one of these things just to leave that alone and come here and work with some amazing kids. The Drumline started like 5 years ago with Mr. Neil Brickfield. We put this together, and we wanted it to be fun. We wanted the kids to buy into the program and have fun. Also teaching the kids how to learn music and just give back to communities. And we've been honored and we've been blessed with the Drumline to play for such organizations like Heart Walk. We did ALS, Lupus, hospice stroll. So teaching the kids how to give back, and just like I said, teaching them how to have fun. And also to be in this drum line, the kids have to have good grades, they have to be good at home, and they have to obey the law. So, and this lady, and we also want to give these kids a vehicle. So like last year, we went to a family band camp, which I am a 100 member. I used to be in the family march 100. I just had to shout that out.
Absolutely.
But and also, hey, Florida State all day. My bad. But I also give the kids a vehicle. So when they finish this program, we want them to go to college. We want them to don't stay around here around me. I want you to go to school and maintain education and be proud. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Wow,
All
that's
right.
wonderful.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Coach, and we appreciate Mr. Brickfield back there. Thank you for all you do. And obviously to get a group of students to come to Clearwater from Lellman, we appreciate Mr. Brickfield, the coach, and all the parents that participated today. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Justice,
we do a
and
picture.
we're going to stand up and do a picture together, but what a wonderful, wonderful celebration of our youth. Good job.
We'll try and get.
Those two little kids up front.
The big kid in the back. Oh, yeah. That's okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was hoping they would be drumming their way out and we could follow them.
Fortunately, you're stuck there for a while.
6 hours.
Who's counting, right?
Thank you, Coach. Okay, wow, that was awesome. Thank you again, Commissioner Justice.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we have consent agenda items 5 through 27. And does anyone wish to pull anything?
7, please.
7? Okay. Anything else?
Move the balance.
Sorry, I'll move the balance. Okay, motion by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Gerard. For the consent agenda.
It's not up on
That says
my.
partner.
Did you join? Okay.
Yeah, I thought I did.
The show is voting on the partner presentation.
I'm voting yes, but I have a network area.
Oh,
error. You're right.
Oh,
Well, we're all saying it was great. Unanimous.
So we actually have a verbal by Commissioner Long, unanimous approval. There we go. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 7, Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, and I think Joe's here if there's any questions for Joe, but I just really wanted to bring some attention to the P-card program. I hate to bring that up after such a great musical performance here and go to P-card discussion, but it's really just about, I think, the really good job that we do managing a system that is complicated in numbers and in process, but the Inspector General did a review of our P-card program here, and essentially there's like 420 P-card holders, 26,000 transactions for 2017, $10 million a year, or about a $900,000 a month that they do, and we get savings back from the usage of it. But the audit really found that 4 things: internal controls over the administration of the P-card were adequate and effective. Overall compliance of the P-card policies and procedures is adequate. Financial internal controls over auditing is efficient and effective. And the internal controls over auditing and processing of invoices when P-cards are used for payments are efficient and effective. So the 4 major findings were adequate, efficient, effective. There were 6 opportunities for improvements, including helping out with transfer of cards when employees retire or let go. A little more careful monitoring of that. And then there's 5 other things in here that they said, and most of the management comments were concurrence, and already a lot of them were being implemented. So it's just an area that I think is wrought with potential problems, and I think our group and Joe and your group do a great job monitoring it. And there's always room for improvement, and I think they're already on their way with that. So I just wanted to bring that out, and I move approval on that report.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Welch. Thank you for the it's 6-0. Commissioner Long is missing. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 5.
Oh, how'd that happen?
Commissioner Peters,
No.
are you a yes or a no?
It was pushed back again.
There we go.
You'll need to remove Commissioner Long because she's not here. Okay. 6-0 then. Thank you very much for agenda item 7. Let's move on to agenda item 28.
Agenda item 28 is an interlocal agreement between Pinellas County Construction Licensing Board and the Pinellas County Board of Commissioners authorizing the staff to support them in carrying out the effective duties.
A question?
Any questions?
I have a question, Madam Chair. Is this a new agreement or is it an updated agreement? And the reason I ask is because Section H is underlined.
Yeah. This is a new agreement. There was a delay in getting this completed.
Okay.
But this has to do with the original change that occurred.
So why is Section H underlined? What's significant about that?
I don't know the answer to that. Jake, do you have an answer?
I don't know exactly why that's underlined. It's probably just in the write-up. Probably not supposed to be underlined for any particular reason. As the administrator mentioned, this should have been done July of last year when we took over as the county. And it's just this way.
No problem. Thank you. I'd move approval.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Welch and a second by Commissioner Gerard. Okay, unanimous approval. Agenda item 29.
Agenda item 29 is a funding recommendation for the Ed Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program. This provides $276,000 in funding in support of 9 projects in Pinellas County. Approximately 5 of those will be administered by the Human Services, but this is a countywide program.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. A motion by Commissioner Gerard and a second by Commissioner Long to approve. Okay, unanimous approval for item 29. Moving on to management and budget, agenda item 30.
This resolution establishes level of budgetary control within the county, as we talked about last Thursday. The control policy should be adopted annually, but we've proposed modifications that incorporate certain debt service accounts into existing budgetary control groupings. What this does is it eliminates the need for modifications for nominal amounts. And so there's still plenty of protections, but I can ask Joe to come up if there's any specific questions.
Okay.
Or not Joe, but.
Any questions?
I'd move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Welch and second by Commissioner Gerard. Approval for 30. Okay, unanimous approval for that. Agenda item 31.
Agenda item 31 is a resolution to update our travel policy. Modifications are in the attachments. This just provides for consistency of our travel policies, updates and modernizes some of the reimbursable expenses, and then also modifies it to where it administratively updates when you have changes to state and federal guidelines.
Any questions on this? We had a good presentation on it last week.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Eggers, second from Commissioner Welch. Okay, that's a unanimous approval as well. Next is agenda item 32.
This is the First Amendment. This is a lease agreement for the Palm Harbor Community Services Agency for the Whitechapel and Harbor Hall location in Palm Harbor. And this, as you know, we've turned it around to where our facility department will maintain these facilities henceforth. This is for items 32, 33, and 34.
Was this based on our strategic planning meeting that we had at Brooker Creek? I was trying to remember when we gave direction.
This actually predates that.
Yeah, it was before, I think it was before Barry was here that we decided to move in this direction, but I can't remember if it was probably strategic planning last year that we talked about bringing forward the kind of the responsibility of the shell of the buildings, you know, the roof and anything else that's related to that as our asset, so. And all their capital would go into the interior of the building.
That's correct.
As it is today.
But this is where we're just responsible for the structural components.
So we can make sure
And-
they maintain a certain level of maintenance and don't become disrepair.
But it's mostly going to be funded by penny monies?
I have staff to come up. Andrew's here. And it does predate me, so I don't have the history.
I mean, because I looked at this, I was like 32, 33, 34.
The other two are just.
You know, we are.
We also wanted to make them the same, because there were differences in the different leases, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Andrew Pupke, Real Estate Management Director. This is for capital improvement for the facilities, not necessarily for repair, and as far as funding is concerned, it would be out of the capital budget. Yes, it would be penny money.
Okay.
Based upon identified needs in those particular facilities.
That makes me feel better. I was concerned that we were be getting into, you know, everyday maintenance.
No.
Okay.
And these two are for the Palm Harbor side, but you'll be bringing East Lake side as well?
East Lake is on there as well.
Oh, it is.
So we have the center in Palm Harbor, the Reba Sutton Whitechapel, as well as Harbor Hall, and the East Lake Community Library.
Yeah.
Also be bringing forward the Palm Harbor Library soon.
That's the one.
As well as the YMCA at the Omni Center in Largo.
Okay, so those would be the only remaining.
No, there's a couple more in Palm Harbor, some of the recreation facilities, Putnam, Pop Stanzel, and Sunderman. So there are some county-owned facilities on those locations that the county actually built that the organization didn't build. So we're working through those agreements, or I should say amendments to those agreements presently.
I just want to make sure everybody was aware of what we are taking on, so.
Right, it's the capital improvement for the facility, so the air conditioning, the roofing, those types of capital expenditures. Fire alarm services or systems, I should say, if they are applicable to those particular facilities.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical question. So like an annual maintenance of an air conditioning unit, is that
That's
our
not
side
part
of the
of-
equation or theirs?
That's part of their,
Okay.
yes.
So it's really just for major,
Yeah, capital improvements, the way we define capital, so those things that would be things that they would have to replace as a capital expenditure at the end of their life cycle. They are still responsible for those day-to-day repairs. And in fact, we have put into the amendment that they'll provide us with records to indicate that they have serviced those units, and we'll do an annual assessment to make sure we know the condition of those assets as we go forward.
we'll have a better idea in the near future what we're biting off as far as capital expenditures?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I noticed each one kind of said at least 250,000 or more. And so.
Yeah, and the reason we did that is we weren't entirely sure what the expenditure was, which is why the item is before the board as opposed to a delegated item, because depending upon what the expenditure is, if it's a roof, you could be over that amount in a year, or if you had two items that were in the same year, it could be over that amount.
So other than I think the Palm Harbor Library, to my knowledge, there's nothing on the horizon for the rest of these. I mean, Palm Harbor's coming later, but I mean, I know that they need, I think, an air conditioner and roof.
I believe they need a roof. I wasn't sure about the air
I
conditioning.
got
Yes.
roof then, yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, so in terms of what you just said, yeah, I don't believe that there are others. I think that when the penny was, when there was input for the penny, there was requests that were made of those organizations to provide lists of items that might be included in that. We'll have to vet those and determine where we can plug those into our budget.
Okay, Commissioner Gerard and then Commissioner Akers.
No, I just wanted to say, I think we end up paying for those larger things anyway through
Right.
some kind of request. So I think this makes it easier for the agencies to predict what they're going to be spending money on, because there was always a question, if the roof falls in, are we going to have to take it out of our operating, our day-to-day money? And they don't have that kind of money, so they always end up coming to us anyway.
Right, so the benefit is that the agreements were previously silent on capital improvements, so now we have a specific, or have specific language in there that indicates, because they are our facilities, that we do not want them to fall into disrepair, and understanding that their funding only goes to a certain level in terms of maintenance and day-to-day operations.
Commissioner Akers?
Yeah, and capital within the building. So any capital that goes on inside the building, any of the improvements that they do inside the building are their responsibility. So that was my understanding, that this was pretty much for the structure and the air conditioning system replacement.
Yeah, we have defined items. It's not an all-inclusive list, but if they were considered to be capitalized items, capital improvements, I should say, to the facility, then they would be funded by the county as opposed to the tenant.
What would be an example of that that's not on the structure of the building? Because really the intention was to make sure that the major capital expenditures leading to the building, which could be underground pipe replacements, et cetera, or the building itself, or the roof, or the air conditioning system.
Well, for instance, a fire alarm system could be interior to the building, and it would be considered a capital improvement if the fire alarm system had to be replaced.
Okay, well, I'd think about that a little bit, because my understanding was it was pretty much the structure of the building, and not the interior of the building. So I don't know where, that's what the exposure to that is on, we have to kind of go through and identify that, which I'm sure you've done, but there's a lot of things inside that have, that I don't think there should be a part. That's not the intention, I don't think. So,
okay.
I think this was mainly to, as I recall the discussion, those major systems, because they were going to be paid for by the penny anyway, or that was on the penny list, and so that's where we were going. Do you think that this needs to be
I guess.
ratcheted down a little bit
Well,
further?
I thought that, again, what I just said is what I thought, but I certainly need to take a look at any capital on the inside, because that, to me, opens up a whole different thing. Because there are a lot of capital items inside the building that they spend money on their own equipment that sometimes is 3 to 5 years in duration. They replace those equipment from time to time. Sometimes they'll replace walls that, I don't know if those are considered capital or not.
No.
Okay. So anyway, there may be some other items in there that I don't think was intended to be there, but so.
And certainly equipment that belongs to the tenant would not be included. So if it was their equipment, we would not be funding that replacement on the interior of the building. I wasn't sure if that was to what you were referring.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would not be responsible for that. So it is those main things: the building envelope, the roof, the HVAC. But it's not those are not necessarily the only items that could be included. Yeah. If the parking lot, for instance, had to be replaced as opposed to resurfaced, then that would be a capital improvement.
Right. And those are, again, outside the building, major lines that come into the building that might have to be replaced. I understand that as well. So as long as, I'm not identifying, you mentioned the alarm system. Is there anything else that comes to mind inside the building other than, okay. All right. And I think that was kind of the intention. They don't have access to penny money through theirs, and their millage rates are, on Palm Harbor side, are capped anyway. So they really don't have the capital to address these things. So this is their piece of that, and I think it's our responsibility, it's our assets to take care of the structure. So,
Okay, any other questions on this side of the dais? Okay.
Remove approval of all three or just one at a time?
We could actually take up their similar agreements, 32, 33, and 34, if you'd like to.
So I'll move approval on all three.
second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gerard and second by Commissioner Eggers for agenda item 32, 33, and 34. Whoops. Sorry, mine didn't. There we go. Unanimous approval. Excellent. Moving on to agenda item 35.
Agenda item 35 is a lease agreement with Gulf Coast Legal Services for office space at the Loman Exchange.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Gerard, second by Commissioner Long. Okay, unanimous approval. Moving on to agenda item 36.
36 is a resolution and a second amendment to a lease agreement with Community Law Program for office space at the 501 First Avenue building in St. Petersburg.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Welch and second by Commissioner Gerard. Okay, unanimous approval of agenda item 36. Moving on to agenda item 37.
Agenda item 37 is a third amendment to a lease agreement with Motorola Solutions. This is for professional engineering construction services pertaining to the multi-site tower replacement project. This is a multi-year project funded out of the sales tax, the penny money, for a variety of shelters. The third amendment provides for the replacement and reconstruction and site security at several of them, and the cost is identified. And the contract amount's $14.4 million with a revised total of $22 million through December 31st of 2021.
Any questions?
Yeah, could you just maybe go through what the change, that large increase is all about?
I would ask staff to come up, either Lourdes or Jim, and so this was a non-competitive selection process. They vetted that versus going out under competitive selection. And determined this was in the best interest of the county, but I'll let staff speak to it.
Good afternoon. Jim Fogarty, Director of Safety and Emergency Services. I've got Jackie Weinrich with me, the Manager of Radio and Technology. The amendment provides the reconstruction of some of the existing shelters at 5 of the radio towers. The radio towers themselves were replaced several years ago. The shelters that contain the equipment and the control for those towers is what the subject is, amendment, the reconstruction to a Category 5 standard. And then all of the equipment that's currently in the shelters has to be moved while the radio system remains live. In addition to that, the removal and reconstruction of the Ridgecrest shelter tower, which is the one by the EMS building, that's the oldest and last remaining tower that needs to be replaced in this system. And then I'll turn any technical questions you have over to Jackie.
So all of that is additional scope and additional specification changes to a contract?
Correct. It's the third of 3 phases to finish all of the reconstruction of that CIP asset.
It really changes that we've asked for?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the Inspector General audit insisted as well.
Thank you.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
that.
Okay. Any further questions while they're up here?
I do.
Yes, Commissioner.
And thanks for
Welch.
that question, Commissioner Eggers. Just what's the useful life of these new facilities?
Approximately 40 years.
40?
Yes, and where they are below sea level, we are elevating them up to 16 feet above sea level. They get new generators, new UPS, new everything, new racks. It's a brand new system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Long and second by Commissioner Gerard. Okay, unanimous approval of that. Moving on to agenda item 38.
Agenda item 38 is a non-competitive purchase agreement with Vertex Data Utility Services. This is our customer information platform at utilities. The existing hardware is no longer supported and has to be decommissioned. So the upgrade would, again, continue to provide the automated customer service payment, but also it ties in with the interfaces between all the different items that are listed there. They did the reason it was non-competitive is because it's a current vendor. However, they did do a review to determine whether it would be in our best interest to go out under a competitive selection and determine this was financially the best option for us.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I do have a question on this, and I blame Commissioner Justice for bringing those young people in this morning because I'm feeling older. When Barbara said it's been 15 years since we did the Brooker Creek, it's just amazing how fast time flies. And it seems like we just did the CIS update, and now we've got this $18 million expenditure. So I have a couple of questions on some of the terminology in here. It's saying the existing hardware operating system is no longer supported. Can you go into that a little bit? Because this is a hosted system, correct?
Correct. So Megan Ross, Utilities Director. For some of those technical questions, I'm going to ask Brian Zumwalt to chime in a little bit here. He helped support this contract and this proposed agreement today.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brian Zumwalt, Office of Technology and Innovation. You're correct, Commissioner. Right now we have a hosted solution out in a Dallas, Texas data center that basically we made a capital investment, I think back in 2006. Or I'm sorry, we made a strategic decision back in 2006 to kind of outsource our utility billing system. And so it's been on that platform out in Dallas, Texas with this vendor since about 2006. So we're due for a refresh and an upgrade of this system.
Okay. And you're moving to this cloud-based, and it's kind of a blurred line in my thinking between vendor hosted.
So the vendor, Vertex, has basically SAP is the current system that we run for utility billing. Instead of staying on the hosted platform where all this capital is now, been depreciated, we want to move into a cloud-hosted environment with the same vendor. And so it's essentially moving the application up to the latest version of SAP, but in a cloud-based format.
So maybe I didn't fully understand when we moved from us hosting the system to vendor hosted that we wouldn't have obsolescence again.
When we moved to the hosted system in 2006, that basically effectively outsourced this entire operation. And by the way, that's not just the IT component. That's also, they're providing all the billing and the paper that gets generated for our ratepayers as well.
So in another 10 years, will we have another expenditure like this?
Not if we keep with the cloud-based solution. Now we'll be getting automatic upgrades of the SAP platform.
So is it almost like, and again, I'm just trying to, like a subscription now?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. We're essentially leasing out to a cloud-based platform. Okay. It's kind of leasing a car, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I just wanted to tell Commissioner Welch that we were wondering if they were talking English.
Yes, they were. I'd move approval.
Good thing somebody half understands what they're doing.
Yeah, really. Motion from Commissioner Welch. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gerard. Okay, that's unanimous approval for this purchase agreement. Moving on to agenda item 39.
Agenda item 39 is a contract with Core and Main for water meter boxes, lid material, and accessories. This is part of the Tampa Bay Area Purchasing Cooperative Contract, and it is an increase in the amount of $300,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Long.
A quick question.
Yes.
I know that we had some discussion about, these don't look like it's the actual meters themselves, but that the meters for the water as well as the meters for the reclaimed would be happening, the replacement would be happening at the same time. So this isn't the meter itself, this is just the...
This is the box, yes. Megan Ross again, Utilities Director. So this is to increase the current contract that's in place so we can continue. We have replacements going on every day when there's leaks or boxes are broken. We need parts every day for our internal staff to go out and just do day-to-day replacement. So this is to increase that current contract to get us through, but we're in the midst of developing a new contract that's going to go out for bid for the full meter replacement project.
So both
Yeah.
meters, right? The reclaimed and the water.
Reclaimed and water, and the boxes. So yes, but this one is just
Okay.
for the
What we have
boxes
in-
that contain
Okay.
the meters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Eggers, second by Commissioner Gerard.
It was already moved.
Oh, I thought so.
Okay.
And a second, so
Thank
just
you.
a voting.
So we have a double motion.
Get ahead of ourselves.
Thank you. Okay, this passes unanimously. Moving on to County Administrator Miscellaneous.
Well, Commissioners, we've had this kind of a long time coming. I'm very excited to introduce Hank Hody to you. If you come on up, Hank, and as our new sustainability coordinator. Talked about this for a while. It took him a while to move, but he had a child on the way and a few things going, so it's well worth the wait. So, Hank comes to us with a tremendous background in community resiliency planning, coastal resource management, and climate change adaptation. He most recently worked was a policy and program manager for Smart Home. Before that, he worked at the National NOAA, a National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, working on coastal management issues, particularly here in Florida. He's from Florida. He's lived here. He's got a tremendous background, so we're just very excited to have him on board.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
As Barry mentioned, very excited to be here, native Floridian, and just excited to contribute to the progress that we've already made, but also progress into the future, and to collaborate with the many partners that we have on these topics.
And it's going to be real exciting because we put together a staff committee. That staff committee is going to be chaired by Kelly Levy. And so Hank's going to work with that team that has that history and experience that put these programs together, kind of pull it all together and make them even better.
Welcome. We're really glad that you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nice to have an opportunity to talk with you. And he grew up in Stewart, and so he's a water guy.
Water.
So.
Yes, yes,
And beach.
Great.
And surf.
Yes.
So.
All right.
Welcome.
Anyone else?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce Nancy and somebody you know very well, but Brian. So Nancy Mckibben and Brian Loick. So they've, as you know, been promoted to the assistant to the county administrator positions. This kind of rounds out our team. We had Chris in the audience. He's still here. Was our first one with Lellman, but now we have kind of Mid and South County and Nancy focusing on North County, really looking at these unincorporated areas and being able to bring all of the resources that we currently have in place into a unified manner. So these are part-time positions. They're keeping their existing duties, but we're shifting things around. So we didn't add to our head count, but really putting an effort on and coordinating these particular areas and really tried to do community building within the particular jurisdictions that they're representing. So excited to have the team finally in place and to where they can begin working on this.
Well, welcome and congratulations on your extra work and your promotion. So we couldn't be more pleased about both of you being selected. And it's also interesting, Nancy, I know you're from Palm Harbor, and Brian, you kind of grew up in the Largo Ridgecrest area. And so you know the community already personally. So putting your professional talents in that direction will be just wonderful.
It is. It is
Nancy?
wonderful. And if
Right?
you don't mind, I just want to add that if this is a real testimony to our dedication to provide superior service to our citizens and customers. And I do want to say I really commend Barry for his foresight and vision and the support that the commissioners have given him to place these positions. So thank you for the privilege.
And I'm excited to start working with, in conjunction with Nancy and Chris. I think there's some stellar opportunities out there throughout the county in the unincorporated areas where we can work together and really provide top-notch services to those communities and our residents.
Thank you all both.
Congrats.
Brian, don't leave. As you get the final piece of my report this morning is to Brian to talk about, you asked that we look at options and ideas for Pinellas Day in Tallahassee. And so he's going to kind of outline our thoughts at this point and get your feedback.
Yeah, so what I wanted to talk to you about today is to propose a Pinellas County Legislative Day for the 2020 session. The date that we propose is January 15th, 2020, which is day 2 of the 2020 session. That same day will also be Hillsborough Day, Pasco Day, and I just found out as I came into this meeting, it'll also be FAC Legislative Day. So there will be plenty going on that day. I think it'll be a great opportunity to go up there. We'll have commissioners from all over the Bay, all over the state. In the morning, we'll have the FAC legislative briefing. I think there's an opportunity to potentially get the House or the Senate chambers, have a guest come and welcome everyone to Tallahassee, and then really hit the offices and the halls all day and advocate for your priority issues. And that evening, after meetings, Southern Strategy has invited us to their office for a meet and greet with other legislators and elected officials. That's the proposal, and I'm willing to take any advice that you all have, anything else you'd like to see, so we can start working on that.
Sounds good.
Don't we have one-on-ones coming up with you shortly?
Yes, started those today, so I'll be meeting with all of you to get your individual priorities, and then we can take those to our legislative delegation here in Pinellas and really put together a program that we can be proactive in the 2020 session on.
Great.
Sounds good.
Great, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Brian. We will be having quite a presence in Tallahassee. So, anything else?
That's all.
Okay, agenda item 41, County Attorney.
Under agenda item 41, we're asking your authority to file suit in the case that's referenced. This is a case of housing discrimination that arose from a cause finding with your Office of Human Rights.
Move approval.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Gerard. Okay, unanimous approval. Moving on to agenda item 42.
Under 42, we're asking for your authorization to file suit in the referenced case. This is an action for eviction.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gerard and second by Commissioner Long. Okay, unanimous approval. Agenda item 43.
Under item number 43, we're asking for the board to ratify an action that we have taken with the concurrence of the chair. This is to ratify the filing of suit. This is in your litigation regarding the sheriff's headquarters building. What we did here upon the advice of outside counsel is we added as a defendant the surety on the in this case. So this matter has already been filed again based on outside counsel. We are just looking for the board to ratify that decision.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Long. Okay, unanimous approval for that. Agenda item 44.
Under 44, we are asking the board to approve the staff recommendation on the proposed settlement as set forth in the confidential memorandum of today's date.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Gerard, and that is to approve the staff recommendation. Okay, that's unanimous approval as well. Okay, County Attorney Miscellaneous.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention, we did briefly discuss in the workshop last week the litigation that was filed in regard to Hillsborough County's surtax that was on the referendum in 2018. As I mentioned, the circuit court had upheld the surtax, although it struck certain provisions. Subsequent to our meeting, that decision has been appealed. You all may have read about it in the newspaper. There's actually two actions. One was just challenging the tax on its face. The other action was the bond validation that the county filed. I know that they're seeking to have those two cases consolidated, which would be somewhat important here because normally an appeal would go to the Second District Court of Appeal. However, bond validations go straight to the Supreme Court. So we'll be monitoring that and giving an update as we see some action in that case.
All right, thank you. Agenda item 46, Career Source Pinellas.
Agenda item 46, I'll ask Mike to go ahead and start making his way up here. These are revisions to the WorkNet Pinellas Career Source bylaws. At the March 12th meeting, you asked for certain revisions in our bylaws related to the CEO and legal counsel. An ad hoc committee of the CSPN board members reviewed and made recommendations. We had subsequent, discussions last Thursday, and so I'll let Mike kind of give you a quick summary, and then you can begin your discussion.
Certainly. I'm going to bring you up to speed to where you were prior to your work session on Thursday, and then Jewel's going to kind of give you some options based on your discussions on Thursday. And then we do have a new topic to bring to the table today, too. On your March 12th meeting, you approved some bylaws that had already been through a back and forth process between county staff and the Career Source Board. And those were approved by you, sent back to the Career Source Board for their ad hoc review committee, the bylaws committee, to look it over. They did, they approved it, they recommended the approval to the full board. Full board came together and did agree to all of those changes, but also recognized that in order to add a school board member, as required by the new bylaws, we would need another business member to the board to balance that out and maintain the business majority. And that means that unless we actually removed active and participating members, we would have to increase the size of the board as proposed in the bylaws from 31 to 33. The governor has set the number at 45, and the whole point of the bylaws revision was to reduce that number to make more responsibility and more active involvement in board meetings. But in order to keep the current board members, the proposal back to you, the sole change at that time was that increase to 33. Now, on top of that, what we heard, Jennifer Brackney reached out to the school board about an appointment for a school board member, and they expressed they do not wish to have a school board member serve on the Career Source Board. Currently, Mark Hunt, their assistant superintendent for pretty much adult ed and career academy programs, is already on the board as a federal requirement of the Title I programs. So he serves already on the board in that capacity. They recommended that he serve also as their delegate for that school board position. So that's new, and on top of it, the Career Source Board was not aware of that because this literally happened yesterday. So that's another item to bring to the table. And then, just in the interest of bringing it all together at one time, I think we'll let Jewel talk about the proposed language based on your discussions last week.
And if I could,
Madam
Unless you
Chair,
have a question, sure.
before Jewel goes on with her whatever, so are we talking about 33 positions, or are we talking about 45 positions?
33.
33.
Yes, we're
But
reducing.
what about the governor's?
The governor sets the cap. The bylaws are able to reduce it below that cap. And in really the way the bylaws are written, we could reduce it even below the 33. We've set another kind of lower cap at the local level, which is entirely appropriate.
Okay.
But there are certain state and federal requirements. We couldn't possibly go about 25 at the least. So we can, over a course of time with attrition for people rolling off the board, as long as we maintain those ratios of business to workforce to education to government, we can reduce that amount as low as 25, but the bylaws would cap it at 33.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
And one thing I'll speak to just in recognition of the information Mike just brought forward, I know that when we had a consultant who was formerly a member of the county attorney's office review some of the bylaws and other issues here, the recommendation was to lower the overall number of board members. But I know that one of his recommendations was to attempt to add, more accountability on the board by way of elected officials by adding either a school board member or a municipal elected official. So that remains an option if the school board is not interested in having one of their elected officials there, because that was the basis for the recommendation, was to add another local elected official. So I'll just put that out there for the board so that you're aware of where that recommendation came from. Now, I do have some options here for you all to consider based upon the discussion that we had at the workshop last week. And I guess I'll start by saying this is change, the lighter end of the change that we discussed. And really what this amendment would do, and I have a bunch of copies I'll maybe see which version we're most interested in talking about before I start passing some of these out. One version simply states that the selection, hiring, and termination of the chief executive official, which would be the executive director, is subject to the approval of the Board of County Commissioners. So in other words, the CSPN board would be taking that action, but it would be subject to your approval. It has the same provision for legal counsel, for the contracting for legal counsel. One other change that we did add when we went back and looked at this is subsequent to the Department of Labor report, where they stated, County Commission, you all as the chief elected official emphatically have the responsibility for the bylaws. We modified the enactment provision to basically say these bylaws are effective once they are approved by the Board of County Commissioners acting as the chief elected official, period. That's what federal law says. So we did make that change. So that is one version that we've put together for you. A second version, which exerts a bit more control by this board over the executive director and legal counsel, has the same provisions, but we have also added that that this board would have the authority to step in and remove the executive director or legal counsel. And in the third provision, we've basically said the same thing, but required that that removal be by a majority plus one of the Board of County Commissioners. So we've kind of come together with an assortment of options for you here, and I do have copies that relate to all of these. I can pass them out, or I can let you decide which ones you'd like first, to discuss first.
I like the one, are you going to ask us for our opinion, Madam Chair?
Yes. Can you just summarize version 2 again?
Version 2 does allow the county commission to step in and remove the executive director or legal counsel.
Just to remove.
Right.
Okay.
Version 3 would require that removal to be by a majority plus one.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Long.
I like version 2.
Version 1 was simply the approval.
Subject to approval.
CEO
They would
and
select
legal
and then we
counsel subject to the
basically
approved
veto.
BCC.
Correct. Essentially, yes.
But nothing with termination?
The way we have phrased version 1, which is, I would characterize as the lighter of the three versions.
It's the what?
Kind of the lighter exertion of control by this board. What it states in regard to the executive director is that, and to give you context, this is under the section of the bylaws that talks about the authority of the Career Source Board. So under that list of authorities that Career Source has is selecting, hiring, and terminating the executive director, subject to the approval of the Board of County Commissioners.
What section is that?
And I can pass these. Why don't you let me pass these copies out? What I have, this is not the full set of bylaws. These are just the pages that show the changes that we are talking about. And so this is the one we're currently discussing.
And all three of those are relative to the attorney as well as the...
Correct. And I do have the full bylaws, if any of you would like to see that in context.
Don't we have it here?
Thanks.
Now, what you'll notice on what says page 3 at the bottom, it's the second page on what I just handed you. There's a slight distinction in the language in regard to, it says chief executive official, that's their executive director. It states selection, hiring, and terminating. You'll notice under R, which is in regard to legal counsel, it says selecting and hiring or contracting. So it doesn't say terminating. But there is another, and we can modify that language, but there is another provision in these bylaws that limits the term of a legal services contract to 2 years.
Question? So neither version speaks to termination as to legal services? Neither version?
It does not. We could certainly change that and put that in there. Now, actually, let me restate that. We do have another version here that states that basically nothing in these bylaws would prevent the county commission from removing the executive director or the legal services provider. So we do have stepped up versions that.
Which version is that?
This is version 2.
That's version 2.
2.
I like it.
Okay.
And version 3, both have that provision.
Correct. In version 3, the only difference is that it would require
Majority.
a majority plus 1 of this board to do so.
Okay.
And I'm happy to pass out whatever version you all like. I was just trying to prevent some.
I would prefer either version 1 or 2.
I'd like to see 2.
So let's see 2.
You could pass that.
I already said it.
I'd like 1
I
and
like
2.
I'm remembering how we got here to begin with.
Is that one set, or what is this?
No, those are just the pages with the changes on it.
Changes, though. Which version?
That's version 2. And what you'll see on what I just passed out, the additional language is at the bottom of what's numbered as page 3.
So again, just in context, we have changed the bylaws that most of the decisions now are made by the entire board, right?
Correct.
Not the executive.
Yes.
Correct.
So the concerns that were raised from our last experience were, essentially those decisions were reserved to the executive board for the most part.
In practice, what I believe, and I think maybe Mike or Commissioner Gerard could speak to this, I believe in practice what was occurring there is that you're correct. The majority of the decisions, if not all of the decisions, were really being made by the executive committee and then approved by the bigger board. But, by and large, through the passage of time, some of those decisions really had already been made. But yes, you're correct. Most of the authority had been vested in that executive committee. We have already adopted a change that really takes the executive committee back to what it should be, a committee that can act in between formal board meetings for emergency type items or things that are time sensitive.
So we've done that, and we've also separated from Hillsborough County, so we're our own. So I guess just thinking if we were under this old structure, I would be more comfortable with 2 because I don't want to get back in that position again. But I think the way we've gotten it set up now, it tends to be a little bit more self-policing, if you will, monitoring, and probably a little bit better for us to be okay with like 1. I'm thinking about, and I know you all were going to bring up that other letter that we got from the board talking about hiring, firing, and managing the executive director, and I certainly understand where that's coming from. And so for me, it's almost like we've got a system that's better for option 1 now, and again.
Okay, I'm gonna weigh in. I like version 2. This is basically what we asked Jewel to put together, and by not doing, and I'll turn it over to Pat because we do have a letter that we received from the current chair of the group, but
I agree with it.
The only other thing also under ours I would want to add, and termination, terminating the legal counsel as well. And my rationale behind this is because, we've been told we are in charge, or we are responsible at the end of the day. We are going to be responsible in a monetary way for the actions by the former CEO, and for if a board didn't take action and we realize that there's an emergency here and that we need to take some action, we need to be able to reserve that right. I don't think what we're trying to say in any of this is that we're going to get into the day-to-day management, setting the management goals and things like that. We're not asking them to serve 2 masters, but we're trying to put into place an emergency provision should something become out of whack. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Gerard, who's been doing the heavy lifting during all of this.
Well, and Mike, and Whitney, by the way. I will say, based on what you just said about this being an emergency situation I would agree that we want removal of the legal. If we're going to have a removal of the CEO, then I think we need removal of the legal as well. And it needs to be a majority plus one. It needs to be a pretty critical situation for us to get involved because they have a board of directors. And the board of directors is, I know it's been awful in the past, but part of that was our fault. And the Fed said that. You know, we took our gaze away from the whole thing and let it slide into an executive committee making all the decisions and an executive director that basically had him wrapped around his little finger. So I think Dave's right that we have corrected a lot of that. Not that it can't drift back there again, but I don't think we need to go overboard on the whole thing. I think the letter that we got from the board chair was misunderstanding a bit, and, you know, just looking at this now for the first time, it is pretty clear that we're talking about selecting, hiring, and terminating being the board's, the C-SPIN board's responsibility subject to our approval. So that's a whole different thing.
It is.
But I would like removal to be either not in there at all or in there at a higher level than just a majority. Thank you.
The only thing I would say, it's really no different than what we do with our county attorney and county administrator. Currently, it's a majority vote.
But it is different. That they have a board of directors that we delegate a certain responsibility to run this operation. And we appoint them, by the way, and we've reappointed probably over 50% of them. I mean, appointed a great deal of new members to get more oversight. You know, one of the points that the board chair made is true. If we're gonna I'm thinking back to a year ago when somebody said, well, we don't want to be the puppet of the county commission. And if the more action we're taking on ourselves, the closer we get to just taking the whole thing over. You know, I think we have to trust and verify. You know, we have somebody on that board who has the responsibility to keep an eye on things, and if we're not doing that, then that's on us too.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Long next, but Commissioner Welch has a perspective and history that I would like to hear.
All valid points. When Whitney sent out the email from the chair, I didn't know Ms. Lavelle was the incoming chair.
She's the new chair.
And I didn't recall she was still on the board. And so I'm going to be careful about what I say because I'm trying to recall if this is the same person who was involved in the audit committee when that issue came up.
I don't know.
And with the subsequent issues when we were trying to rein Mr. Peachy in, admonish him, and certain board members stood up against that. I'm trying to remember if this is the same person. I want to be clear before I say that. But ultimately, the responsibility is ours.
Correct.
We are looking at multi-million dollars that we might have to come up with ultimately. So I was leaning towards option 2. I understand what you're saying about supermajority, but just the experience of what we've been through, you couldn't make some of this stuff up. You really couldn't.
I agree.
And that board was tone deaf. I mean, and I'm not asking Mike to speak to it, but Mike was at the meeting, Bill Berger was at the audit committee, Jewel was at the audit committee, and some of the things that happened there, you just couldn't make it up. To the extent of the council telling us that Mr. Peachy couldn't tell us that he'd already fired the audit committee, that legally he couldn't tell the audit committee that, and it's in the public record. So what I've seen has just been so out of bounds that I want to verify first and then trust. So, you know, I could vote for 3 if that's where the will of the body is, but at least option 2 at this point. Maybe down the line after we've built some trust, and we've got a good board. Those folks are working hard now. I think we have turned the corner, but I'm just not there yet in terms of option one at all. So option 2 or 3.
Okay. Jewel and then Commissioner Long.
If I could just point out a couple things in response to some of the comments I've heard. One of the changes that we did make in these bylaws, to be abundantly clear, of course, it was my legal opinion previously that you could remove members from the Board of Directors, and you did in fact remove the former chair. We have made it abundantly clear in this newer version of the bylaws that the commissioners shall have the authority to remove a director from the board, meaning the Board of C-SPEN, when it determines that the best interests of the workforce program will be served. So we have written that into these bylaws. It is, and give me a minute and I'll pass out.
Page 6 of the red line version.
Yeah, if you look at what's in your agenda, it is the full version, and it is under, let's
Article
see,
5.
section,
Appointment of board members.
appointment of board members. One other thing I would add in response to the Career Source Chair's letter. This very issue came up, and Commissioner Long, you may remember, at the Charter Review Commission for the county when the change was being made in regard to the county attorney and who would hire and fire the county attorney. Because, of course, a charter amendment was adopted that changed that from the 7 of you here on the county commission to the 7 of you plus the 5 constitutional officers. And I know that the outside counsel that sat with the CRC raised as a concern what would happen if the county commission had a genuine conflict with one of your constitutional officers, and I, your attorney, could have another one of my bosses, per se, directing me to take some kind of action against the county commission. Apparently where your outside counsel lived, that thing was more likely to perhaps occur.
God bless Pinellas.
Yes, I agree. So there is a statement in your charter that while the County Attorney Oversight Committee has the authority to hire or fire me, I report to the Board of County Commissioners. So that is something that has been brought up before and dealt with before. Now, I will point out, the County Commission and the constitutional officers are all created and established by the Constitution of Florida. The Career Source Board of Directors serves at your pleasure, and its sole existence is to implement the workforce acts and the various acts that we're talking about here on your behalf. So I wouldn't even compare it to the same situation. But again, it is an example of how that has been dealt with in the past. I can tell you, in 2 years as a county attorney, haven't had an issue in that regard. But again, you know, the county and the constitutional officers enjoy a good relationship here. So those are just a couple of things I wanted to point out in regard to some comments I'd heard.
I just have can I respond to that first?
Yes, and then Commissioner Long, sorry.
Well, maybe we need to put in the part about reporting to the CEO, reporting to the board. Of
Career Source
C-SPEN.
Board.
Yes. Well, Career Source, right.
Okay, Commissioner Long.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to clarify a comment that was made, that we took our gaze off of this issue, we being the county commission, because I clearly remember the couple of years I served on the board and was very uncomfortable with the fact that we were having, some of you will remember this conversation, we were having to approve their budget, and they had not even submitted it to us. Do you remember that, Ken?
Right.
Karen? I'm sure you remember that. And,
Because I actually asked for,
yeah,
personally
and
asked
on
them for the
top of
budget.
that, we wanted the budget for the Science Center.
Right.
And that was never,
No, we did finally get that because I asked for it.
not before we voted, though. And we were operating on the advice of our attorney at the time, who said that there was some kind of a deadline, and that we absolutely had. Do you remember that?
I do.
So that was very troubling to me, and part of why we got where we are today. So I do not want to see us go back there, and I get that we have a great board now, but we are ultimately responsible financially for what goes on. And if we're going to be financially responsible, I think we need to have the authority to make the tough calls when needed.
So I'd like to make a suggestion. I don't know if with these kind of changes we can actually do anything with this today, but I think we need to have the removal of the attorney in here, which somehow didn't get in here. Something about the school board representative, maybe just change it to a local elected official if we even care. I'm not sure.
Hunt is not an elected official.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
But
we have to
they
do
don't want to appoint somebody because Hunt is on there and he's over all those programs. So if we really want another elected official on there, then we need to change it to an elected official rather than a school board member. But I'm not even sure it's important.
Somebody that
When
was
you say
suggesting.
they, if they really want, who is they?
They, us, if we really want another elected official on there, we just need to change it in the bylaws because it says school board member.
Specifically school board.
And the third one being that the CEO and I guess the attorney reports the CSPEN board as is in yours. So, is that too much to change for one?
I just have one question for you. I support what you put forward, but in this version 3, doesn't it address the legal counsel?
It does,
Yeah.
it does, and the
Confused as
language.
which is which. I know, I don't know.
Yeah, and I apologize, we were trying to kind of give you all multiple versions to choose from. In 2 and 3, it does provide for removal of either the executive director or legal counsel. It's just the distinction of whether you would prefer that to be by a simple majority or a majority plus 1. So if you all want to give us input on that, and I agree, I mean, you all have another meeting on August the 6th. We can bring these changes back, and Mike, is the Career Source Board going to be meeting before August 6th?
Not scheduled to be.
Okay.
September's the next meeting.
So I'm
Okay,
going to
good.
just assume that this 2-week delay wouldn't really cause any problems in advancing these, and I do think it's
Well,
better
you-
to be more thoughtful.
Yeah. Well, the one problem is that if we are in the process now as a Career Source Board looking at hiring a new legal counsel, or at least
Right.
putting out for
It's just-
RFP. And the new bylaws specifically say that the ad hoc selection committee is responsible for preparing that RFP and going out for bids. The old bylaws, the currently effective bylaws, are silent to that. So in a way, it would delay the process of putting out an RFP the longer we wait. Now, that's the only, and I'm not sure that it matters that much. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
But the
that we couldn't-
RFP can go out there. There's still an extended time before the applicants come back and any decisions
Yeah,
are
if you're
made.
okay with that, with, the staff preparing the RFP and putting it out, which is the old process.
And another option would be for you all
Been helping
to
anyway.
adopt the bylaws and just very clearly state for us the changes that you would
Yes.
like, and then delegate to the county attorney to make those changes, and we would bring them to the chair to check off on and go forth in that manner.
So I want you all, in looking at the bylaws under page 14, it talks about the ad hoc chief executive official, executive director / executive director and legal counsel, selection committee, membership duties and responsibilities. So there is going to be a committee constituted beginning in 2019, and it has 5 members, Board of County Commissioners member, serving as vice chair, the Career Source Pinellas chair, Pinellas County Economic Development Department board member. Congratulations, Mike. You could change that to elected city or school board member and change it in another place, and 1 member appointed by the chair. So the committee will be responsible for reviewing no less than once a year the performance and compensation of the executive director and the legal counsel. Not less than once every calendar year, reviewing, evaluating, and or establishing and or needed updating or revising the qualifications and so on. But I read that first one because they essentially have the ability under these bylaws to go ahead and do the annual review against their measurements and to decide if they're comfortable with their CEO, executive director, and or the legal counsel. So I'm not sure we really need to amend it to any other area because they already have that. I mean, they will have that potential to review.
Right, except for the a final approval of the BOCC.
Right, but then if we add what we are proposing in version 2 with Commissioner Gerard, your changes to having it be one elected official in every spot so that we have some flexibility, and in R, including terminating. I think that would.
What was that?
Right?
Well, that's in that extra.
It's in 2.
Nothing shall prevent the BOCC from removing. That's in the section 3, Article 3, board member.
This is the majority plus one.
That's, you,
Here.
so you still want to do the majority plus 1?
I don't care. That's okay. It's a small point.
All right.
So the 3 things, I'll make the motion, but the 3 things to change are changing the school board to a local elected official. Is that good enough, or do we?
Yes, and what's beautiful is the quorum requirements are still met even if that person hasn't been appointed. So we can
Right.
proceed
In
with
fact,
the
even better if
RFP
that
on
person is-
the legal
okay.
counsel.
The second one is that the CEO and the legal person report to the C-SPIN board. And the third one was, I guess it's already in there. The removal of the attorney is in the
It
version
is.
3.
It is. It's in.
But is it in
both
version 2?
It's in both 2 and 3. It's
Okay.
just a matter of whether you would like to add in that removal be by a majority plus 1.
I don't care. Okay, so there's only 2 changes
Wait a second.
to version 2.
Can I ask you a
I have
question with regard to your
version
motion, Commissioner?
Sure.
Do you mean local official or municipal official? Because there's several other entities that could potentially, I'm thinking, could be
Right, so it-
legislative.
The sheriff's elected.
Be, what?
Sheriff's
to
elected,
be-
so, you know.
Hey, I don't care.
Fire commissioners are elected.
This wasn't my idea to begin with. I'm not sure why we need another elected official on there, but, so that's up to
Whose
whoever.
idea was it?
It was a recommendation of
Consultant.
the consultant that reviewed this.
Well, we don't have
One
to-
thing you could put in the bylaws is just a local municipal or school board
Right.
member, which would leave open the option if in the future the school board did want to.
Well, that's what it says right now, isn't it?
We could add
Elected or-
in municipal official as well, so that it would be a city council person
Okay.
or a school board member, just to be abundantly clear.
Yeah.
All right.
The school board may change their mind in the future. It would leave that option
Right.
open.
Right.
Otherwise, it could be a second county commissioner as well.
You'd like to what?
Could be.
If it simply is elected, it could be another county commissioner. We could have 2 county commissioners on there.
Well, that's interesting.
Well,
Well, we've
Wouldn't be-
got 4
wouldn't be
on
the first time.
PSTA.
Yeah, right. Were you volunteering?
I think he was.
Well, let's make
Yeah,
it
be
municipal.
careful what you,
Make it municipal.
Well, that was an open-ended kind of thing. I mean, it's just generic
Yeah,
elected.
actually.
Sure.
Let's make it municipal then. Municipal or school board.
okay. All right.
lost
So
my
it's,
notes.
the changes of municipal or school board member, that
reporting
the
to.
CEO and legal counsel would report to the C-SPIN board. And the third is,
Actually, there
That's
wasn't
it.
a third if we had the removal of the legal in version 2.
although I spoke to Jewel and I said I think it still would be clearer if you, under the legal services, had the same language as the chief executive.
Under the subparagraph R that speaks to selecting, hiring, or contracting, we could add terminating
Just
in
adding
there.
terminating just to make it clear.
If, Madam Chair, I mean, if there's no harm, I mean, I would suggest that we let legal staff work on this, come back on our meeting in 2 weeks with a clean version, you know.
But according to Mike, what he said is that may slow down their process for selecting
But we would
legal
just-
counsel,
mean, we
which I
could
really don't want to do.
technically- Yeah.
So,
Well, I think in the current bylaws, they have the ability now, they have this ad hoc committee, don't they?
No, it's
No.
silent.
but that's what our
Yeah.
changes, that's what I was reading to you.
Yeah.
Not for the attorney.
So, you know,
Right.
in the past, it's been done by staff. The RFP production has been done by staff.
So, is everybody comfortable with the CEO and the legal counsel reporting to the C-SPIN board? Okay. So again, it's really not that major of changes here.
Right.
One, we're changing it, so municipal or school board member. 2, that the CEO and legal counsel will report to the C-SPIN board, and 3, just adding the word terminating in section R.
See, but that refers to the
Legal
C-SPIN
counsel.
board duties. I'm not sure why it wasn't in there in the first place. I mean, they have the
Selecting-
ability to terminate, right?
And hiring or contracting or terminating for the provision of legal services to be provided to and for work that Pinellas Inc., subject to the approval of the Pinellas County.
But it's, you're actually saying that's the C-SPIN board's responsibility,
Right.
selecting, hiring,
But it's-
and terminating.
It's because in version
Subject to our
2,
approval,
it
yeah.
does talk about,
Well, and it does state in the paragraph beneath R, the final sentence is removal of the
Herein.
C-SPIN executive director or legal services provider is a power reserved to the Board of County Commissioners as the chief elected official.
right, I'm just trying to make it easier for someone reading it, not have to look in other
Does that-
places all the time.
Oh, geez, okay.
It's just a.
Does that
it's a
mean, though, that-
wordsmithing.
Does that mean that the C-SPIN board could not fire the executive director without our approval?
Without your approval,
Or the
correct, yeah.
legal
They would still,
person.
they could initiate the process of removing him, but he would still have to go to you for final approval of that termination.
I suppose
if
as
the
crazy as things
It's
have
gonna-
been in the past.
It's going to be
that
the
could
same
a thing.
provision as the chief executive
Exactly.
Well, I know,
official, so I thought
but it
just
just
to make
occurred
it
to me
similar.
that they would have to come to us to fire them too, so, okay.
And I guess we have a
I guess that's good for
public
them.
comment.
Can I just say one thing? I kind of agree with Commissioner Justice on that. Why don't we keep the possibility of having another county commissioner there? Everybody seems really concerned about exerting control. Having a second person, a second one of us there would help have, 4 eyes on from this board. I mean, I just think that takes care of a lot of the concerns that we would have instead of just having one person there. So you have the municipal, county, or school board. Just, I mean, I just,
Are we considered municipal? No.
It has the advantage that if any of the cities say, if all of the cities say no, we still have a legal board, that would be.
Or if we
that
just
has that
feel like it.
advantage.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, so I would support what Commissioner Egger said, but I think you meant county commission,
Yes.
not other county offices like clerk.
No,
or
county commission.
So I would support that change as well.
How does, anybody, we need to make, so we have 3, is there a 4th person that's interested in county commissioner?
No,
Huh?
I'm not interested in adding that. And I can't imagine how we
I
add
would rather say a
another
local
commitment.
elected official, and it's up
Commissioner
to us.
Gerard?
It's up to us to appoint it anyway, so if we have, we might change our
Spinning
mind
around the
at
ball
some
right
point.
now.
That just leaves it open, we can make it one of us, or we can make it a school, well, not a school board member, but
You could always change the bylaws further down the line if you needed to.
again.
Madam
Call
Chair?
the question.
Just a general question, these bylaws that we approved today or whatever, does the C-SPIN board need to approve this as part of a agreement?
Apparently not.
Not with the way we have rewritten it.
Okay.
The way that we have rewritten it vests that approval solely with the Board of County Commissioners pursuant to the federal regulations.
Okay, so in summary, again, we're moving forward with the bylaw changes today. We have, at this point, I hear a consensus to have it be a municipal or school board or county commissioner as an elected official. The second would be that the CEO and legal counsel would report to the C-SPIN board provision, and then my wordsmithing of adding terminating into section R of the legal counsel. Is there consensus to go ahead and, okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
Are we going to choose
So
2 or 3?
moved.
Huh?
Are we choosing 2 or 3?
Chose
version-
2, right?
2.
It's 2 with those.
Simple majority.
2 with those changes.
With this, which
I'll
is a
move
simple
that.
majority by the Board of County Commissioners, but with those kind of wordsmithing cleanups that we just detailed. Is there a motion to that regard?
I moved, yes.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Gerard and a second by Commissioner Long. I do have a citizen comment, which I think I should take before we do the vote, and it's Greg Pound.
It was Jennifer, I was going to say.
Please go ahead and the clock.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Commissioners, as I was listening to this discussion, and you brought up Peachy's, your disapproval of him not lining up to your agenda. And when we have people underneath you who are not, there's people who can see the corruption in our county commissioners, and they refuse to go along with what you're doing, and you're eliminating them. And you're appointing the people you want in the office that will kowtow to what you want done. And as I listen to this debate back and forth, it's a manipulation of getting people who will do what you want them to do. I mean, you talk about all these people you want to remove because they don't go along with, we've got illegal people. I mean, as Ken Welch here says, the problems that they were having with Peachy's group, what about the group we're having with the county commissioners and the sheriff's department? Okay, so, I mean, as you're debating this stuff, do you apply anything you're saying? Do you hear what you're saying and you don't apply it to your own selves? I mean, this position that you're in is an elected position, and we can't get you out. It's like, as people watch this and listen to it, there's people in our government who know, but they're afraid, but they're not gonna go along with the corruption you guys are doing, like Peachy. Like Peachy's, and that's why you got rid of him. And so the other people too on that board. And so this is what I see happening. You guys are just manipulating it for yourselves. Thank you.
Okay, we are ready to vote.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I saw counsel pop up. Did you have something?
Commissioner Don Kroll from the County Attorney's Office. I just, Commissioner Justice's question had me go back to look at the C-SPIN interlocal, and there is a provision in that that is inconsistent with the Federal Department of Labor provision. It does say that the C-SPIN board will approve the bylaws as well. I think under this provision, this federal law is going to trump that, but I wanted to be clear that that provision does exist in there, so.
Okay, good catch, Don.
So do we do?
Okay, so we know that this will then,
What does that mean in English?
what does that mean?
It means
Yeah,
your
Don.
agreement with C-SPIN via the interlocal says that both would approve, but that federal law vests that authority solely with this board, and that we believe federal law prevails.
Thank you.
Federal law what?
Prevails.
Okay,
But we should maybe look at the interlocal again and
We certainly can.
tweak it.
okay. All right, let's finish voting if we may.
Yes.
Commissioner
Who are we missing?
Miss-
is out of the room again.
Oh.
Oh, Commissioner Long. Okay, it was a 5-1. Thank you very much. And thank you, Commissioner Gerard.
You're welcome.
47,
47 is an appointment to the work at board. How does that impact this vote, Mike?
It doesn't.
Does
I
it?
don't think it
Okay.
does.
Huh?
I don't think it does.
Or does it? Or does it?
Given the new bylaws, item 47 is the new business person to balance the board with the
Okay.
new municipal and/or county, or county commission member
Okay,
or
since we
municipal
just
member.
passed it, and that's
So
the
this is
final.
a private sector person that was nominated by the Seminole Chamber and has been approved.
and her name is
reviewed.
Cheryl Shepherd.
Correct.
Yes.
Madam Chair, just a quick question, because these all blur together. With WorkNet, is it the person has to be in a certain level of authority, decision-making?
Yes.
In that she
Yes,
qualifies
they
as
have to
HR
be,
director?
basically a C-level employee, and this is the head of their HR department.
Okay.
And
And this-
we're the one that work closely with CareerSource anyway.
This nomination actually came from the Greater Seminole Area Chamber of Commerce. So, could I have a motion to?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Egger, second by Commissioner Gerard. Okay, that was 6-0. Thank you very much. We're moving on to agenda item 48.
Agenda item 48 is a resolution to the issuance of Housing and Finance Authority multifamily housing revenue bonds for a multifamily residential housing unit. This would allow for 82 units at a total development cost not to exceed $19,492,691. And this is in the city of Pinellas Park.
Move approval. Second.
Commissioner Justice and Commissioner Welch. And I see Catherine out in the audience. Congratulations. In advance, I'm assuming we get a positive vote.
As you're voting on that, if you do the math, that's $237,000 per unit, which is one of the difficulties in developing new construction.
Exactly. Okay, unanimous approval. Great, thank you. Another great project. Okay, now County Administrator Report, proposed fiscal year 2020 budget.
I will ask Bill to come forward and unveil. Obviously, we met last time with you. We took a lot of input regarding specific programs, specifically on the new program request decision packages. And so here we're going to outline the 2020 budget and specifically address the 3 or 4 items that were called out.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bill Berger with the Office of Management and Budget. And I'm really excited to be here today to present on behalf of the entire county staff the 2020 proposed budget. Overall, it's a $2.4 billion total budget that we're looking at. It's about a 0.5% increase over the FY19 revised budget. Most of that is going to be, as far as the increase, result of various factors, mostly inflation. One thing I do want to point out and highlight is the reserve level in the general fund at 16.5%. That's above your target level of 15%. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that's a little bit higher. But primarily it's going to be to enable some things that we haven't fully made decisions on and to make sure there is capacity moving forward to address some of the unmet needs. Looking at millage rates, there are no proposed changes for the countywide or MSTU rates, the general fund, EMS, health department, or MSTU rates. The good news is that as far as fire district rates, we do have 7 different districts that we're looking at and proposing a rollback millage or the equivalent of a rollback millage. And those are Bel Air Bluffs, Clearwater, Dunedin, Gandy, Largo, Safety Harbor, and South Pasadena. And the reason we're able to do that is because in analyzing long-term projections for the funds that are associated with those districts, we've recognized that there are excess reserves as it relates to their recurring operating needs and the planned capital that we have there. The other good news around those is we're going to be meeting with each of those fire district service providers because we feel that there are opportunities to go even lower than the rollback rates, but we want to be conservative in terms of our proposal, in terms of what would be on the trim notices, which is a maximum millage rate for next year. So when we come back later in August and into September with your public hearings, we may be proposing an even lower rollback rate or lower than the rollback rate for some of those districts.
Bill, would you mind repeating those 7 again, please?
Of course. Those are Bel Air Bluffs, Clearwater, Dunedin, Gandy, Largo, Safety Harbor, and South Pasadena.
Thank you.
And a couple of interesting facts and figures related to the taxable values that I thought would be interesting to highlight. First of all, relative to what Barry just mentioned with the affordable housing being $237,000 per unit to build those, our residential taxable value countywide on average is now up to about $152,000 per residential property. Now that's taxable value, so that includes the value of having things like your Save Our Homes on there. And as far as Save Our Homes, which is important to us because that actually limits how much increase we can see in taxable values, for the first time we actually have more than 50% of our properties are under the Save Our Homes cap. We have over almost $1 billion in new construction value that's been added to the rolls for this year. That's the 2nd year in a row. And that's an increase over from back in FY17 of just a little bit over $500 million. So we're continuing to see a lot of activity in new construction, which is positive for the community.
What was the amount you said? Did you say it's $2 billion?
It's almost $1 billion.
$1 billion? Okay.
That's for the second year in a row.
Thank you.
Looking at the different components of your budget, the departments that fall under your purview, a total of $1.5 billion in total budget. It's about 63% of your grand total. And that's decreasing slightly for fiscal year 2020. And that's basically a result of planned capital expenditures that are decreasing from one year to the next. So from an operational standpoint, we are still seeing a modest increase based on inflation primarily. But you are seeing some small decreases overall on a net basis because of the capital. Within the general fund specifically, BCC departments are decreasing about $5 million, or almost 1%, and that again is based on one-time change in the budget, and that is the reimbursable red tide expenditures that we made during this fiscal year. Looking at the constitutional officers, that represents about 16% of your total budget. There's a small increase there, and that's a combination of inflationary increases being offset by the completion of the jail campus infrastructure project this year. The other thing I want to highlight, just to provide context, about 85% of this category of your budget is the sheriff, and within the general fund specifically, the sheriff is almost half of your total general fund budget, and that's consistent with past years. As far as other agencies, you see a small increase here, and that's primarily due to employee health benefits program increases, unincorporated fire district reserves, as well as the St. Pete Courts consolidation project. Looking at your staffing levels, total staffing levels proposed for FY20 are going up by about 50 positions in total. About half of those are within the BCC departments, but specifically within those 25.5 positions, only 3 of those are really net new additions because the rest of those are attributed to internalizing operations that are currently being contracted and or temporary positions that are non-recurring in nature. Under the constitutional officers, that 31.5 FTE increase, 27 of those are in the sheriff's office.
And that relates to his training class.
Next, I want to cover some of the priority initiatives, and this is only a very small subset of those priority initiatives that are going to be enabled by your FY20 budget. Starting off with continuing your Osha training program. We're targeting to be done with 80% of the workforce being trained up in Osha by the time we finish FY20. And that has us really ahead of schedule for where we had initially targeted with that 5-year program of being done in FY22. Your paying class study that's being implemented by HR, we're continuing to monitor the results of that. Currently, HR is in the process of initiating phase 2, which is addressing the exempt employees. And after the exempt employees have been addressed, the next stage will be addressing compression and internal equity issues. Next up, one of your decision packages, which is implementing software to simplify the job application process for both internal and external candidates. That'll help us with recruitment efforts. And then finally, under workforce, we have creating pipelines for career readiness. We just finished a summer internship program with high school students where they contributed over 1,100 hours over just 7 weeks. Pretty excited about that and continuing to move forward with that in the future. We have partnerships with area universities and the school board that we're formalizing. OTI is establishing a partnership with the USF graduate program. And then we also have implemented job shadowing programs, and we're expanding Bright Futures opportunities. So a lot of really exciting things happening within the workforce category. Next up, under public health, safety, and welfare, I'm going to ask Lourdes to come up and talk a little bit about that. And Barry referenced 3 specific initiatives that we're going to talk a little bit more about, and 2 of them are the top 2 that are listed on your slide right now. So with that, I'll introduce Lourdes.
Thanks, Bill. Lourdes Benedict, Assistant County Administrator. And like Bill said, following up on the priorities that we discussed previously, first we wanted to talk a little bit about the work session that we had recently on mental health. And I know you've heard all of this quite a bit, but I just wanted to go over it a little some this afternoon. So as far as behavioral health, which you all know includes mental health and substance abuse, it continues to be a national crisis. It's not just an issue here in our county. Florida ranks among the lowest funded in the nation. Commissioner Eggers, I know you had asked the question about per capita. The last figure that we had was for 2014. Other states on average per capita pay $125. And Florida currently is at, or as of 2014, last data that we have available, is at $36. So pretty low. And you know, we rank the lowest in the nation. We have continued to fund gaps in services to better meet the needs of our indigent and homeless individuals and improve the overall coordination of services. That's something that through the years you all have funded and we've continued to close the gaps. But even with all of that, everything that you heard at the workshop, that was a couple of hours of all the things that we're doing, we still continue to see increases in demand for crisis-related services, meaning Baker Acts and Marchment. In Pinellas County, clients who are in need of involuntary admission under the Marchment Act, which has to do with substance abuse, are taken into protective custody and go to the jail until they are ready to leave the jail. The clients aren't booked, but they're required to stay there until they're ready. And according to the most recent data from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, 1,756 duplicated clients, which is something we're working on, trying to unduplicate the data, were taken under Marchment from March of 2017 to November of 2018. It's approximately about 96 a month are in. Then when you look at our Baker Acts, which is the other piece of our behavioral health, we had over 10,000 Baker Acts last year, evaluations for Baker Acts last year. Again, current demand is high for that. So since 2015, you know, what have we done as a county? We've made some significant contributions to the system, the behavioral health system. We've developed the PSET pilot, also known as the Top 33. We also have our PICA pilot that we're working on. We have a pretty robust behavioral health services enrollment in our Pinellas County Health Program, also known as our Blue Card, as well as having lots of federal grants that we work on to bring in. And with those, we've had assisted outpatient treatment. We've had cooperative agreement to benefit homeless individuals, our CABI grant, and the list goes on. So we have about $11 million, which is a significant increase since 2015, as you all know from our workshop.
Lourdes, that 11 million that you're talking about, would that, if you divide that by our resident base of, let's say, roughly 1 million, does that add to the per capita that you were talking about, or is that more than just?
That was state funding, what I was talking about,
Right,
so we would have to
originally.
add that.
So you'd add that as a portion to our residents?
That is correct.
So you're, but,
So somebody else do the math, but yes, we
Okay.
would need to add that.
okay, so.
I could do
So
the
now
math
we're
right
up to
now.
42.
42, well, again,
So-
Something like
as a percent of the total, though, we're, you know,
No, you're right.
Yeah.
That would be included,
So,
or would need to be included.
so the $125 number that you spoke about when you started, was that a national average?
That's the national average,
And the state is 36?
and we're at 36 per capita.
Shameful.
So what we'd like to do is next look at, so what are we going to do about this? We know we have some decision packages that were presented, and Barry has asked us, the team, to look at that and kind of take a step back and figure out what it is that we're doing, because there's a lot that we're already doing, but what else are we going to do? I think everyone can agree there's more that needs to be done. So one of the things that we wanted to do is, with everything I just said, we still have gaps. And what are some of those gaps? We don't currently have a central receiving system. We currently don't have Marchment beds, minus the 10 that were just brought on by ACTS that we're not funding
And they're not
over in
licensed
Tarpon.
yet.
Sorry?
And they're not licensed yet.
And they're not licensed yet, so that's to come. We lack transitional housing. This is what happens to folks when they leave these facilities. Lack of capacity in residential substance abuse treatment. It's a huge issue all across the country as well as here. Some other challenges, outreach and engagement. That's something that's needed, and it's not a reimbursable service at this time. So when you talk to the providers, they want to do that, but they can't because nobody's paying for it. And connections to follow up. What happens after these folks go to a Baker Act or a Marchment? And then data sharing, something we're always working on. How do we better share the data? So what we did is we came up with some recommendations. First one and foremost is to continue to do the work that we all are already doing. I think there's lots of momentum, lots of good work that's happening. But at the same time, develop some interim solutions to get us closer to bringing down the gap. And what we're proposing is to set aside some funding to support additional secure Marchment beds. And also, besides the beds, post-discharge, what do we do with folks? Because you can't just pay for the beds and let them out. What happens after that? So we hope to develop some scope on that to secure the Marchment beds and do requests for information. So the goal is to put out a request for information, and we have a pretty robust schedule, I believe, to do this, and to get information, who is out there, who could do this, who can partner with us. And so in order to do that, we would put that out. We would still continue to work with our PICA team, our Pinellas Integrated Care Alliance, which is something that you fund, work with the Sheriff, Department of Health, the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network, our federally qualified health centers. So we would, put out the RFI, receive that information, look at all of the intercept maps and all the information that we already have. Although we are lacking some data because of some of our systems, we do have a lot of information, a lot of data. So look at all of that to make some decisions. So at the same time, the second piece of this is to develop a scope to engage a behavioral health consultant to come in. We've talked about this quite a bit. Would it be to look at how we get reimbursed, what funding is out there, what different pieces of what we're doing, are they working, do they have best practices? So at the same time as putting out an RFI, we would do the behavioral health consultant. We currently have some general fund reserves, as you heard Bill. Above the target of 15% is available. So that's what we're looking at potentially using.
Well,
and I'm just going to take a breath a minute.
Yeah, we have. You got to cover a lot. If I can, we're going to get to that piece of the reserve. So some of these programs are just undefined, and we need more analysis on them before we make a specific recommendation. We know that there's a gap in services, though, and so we set aside a little funding for between now and when you finalize the budget to assess would it be better to put some more money into beds or diversion services under an existing structure. And so we're trying to address trying to do more now a little bit while we, put out an RFI and say, all right, as a system, are there different ways that we can do this? If we put out and said, here, I want you to develop beds, how would people integrate those? And so we can kind of learn from that proposal. But it's a request for information, not a request for proposal. At the same time, by engaging an outside consultant to kind of cost some of these different models, including what Commissioner Peters proposed as part of the budget and looking at a central receiving facility and whether we can add that as a federally qualified health center and these different things. And so then they can look also and see if there are 1 or 2 or 3 different models and actually cost them out and look and try to bring different models together to where we can have a discussion during this year, not next year's budget, but in 2020, and bring that back to you. And we've set aside some money in reserves to be able to address that to where we're acting next year, not waiting another year and addressing it in a future budget. And I have talked to Commissioner Peter, who advanced this and put a lot of work and time into that, and has talked to all these providers. And this is a complicated issue, and we want to act now, but I'm a little concerned that we need to do a little more analysis and come up with some alternative service delivery models and make sure we're making the best solution when we make that final decision.
Madam Chair, do we know how many Marchman beds we actually need in the
Well,
county?
Like I said, we had over 1,700 in that period of time that I stated with the jail. They are duplicated, so it could be that someone went in 3 times. So it's not an actual number. We still need work in that area, to be honest with you.
Chair, I'd like to make a comment about that.
So we don't know is the answer.
So you're saying 1,700 unduplicated?
Duplicated.
Duplicated, sorry. So we really don't know.
700.
And that was last year compared to
Right, we get about
10,000
96
Baker
a
Act?
month, 92 to 96 a month that are
Pardon me?
needed. We get about 96 a
Okay,
month
a month.
approximately that are needed. But again, it could be the same person. We don't have that data. It's not the way the jail keeps the data.
And can I make a comment on that, Madam Chair? So when the jail does a marchment, they typically only do a marchment if it's somebody who's dangerous, might fall into the street, they're drunk, and they might fall in the street, and they only stay in the jail for 4 to 6 hours till they're sober. They never keep them until they detox out. So it isn't a true marchment, because a marchment should be a medically watched detox and then a referral into a program. So we can't even say technically that we even marchment in the jail. But if you look at similar counties, and I can't even look at that many because there aren't a lot of counties that have marchment beds. The state created the act but never, funded any kind of system in which to do it. But what I can tell you is Sarasota has 30 beds, Hillsborough County has 30 beds, Volusia County has 19 beds, and when I spoke to the CEO there, he said, my biggest mistake was only getting 19 beds, I need at least 30 beds. So given that we're the most densely populated county in the state, I would make an assumption. Now, according to Osha, 10 beds would serve 900 people. But when you look at data, and I was going to pass it out in my report, but so for the first 8 months of this fiscal year, we've had 3,300 911 responses to suspected overdoses. It's the highest that's ever been done in the county ever in our history. So if you try to get a handle on the data, and Lourdes is doing an outstanding job, she's doing incredible work. And there's just so much, and it is so big. But we have 4 more months to go. So my guess is at the end of this year, we're going to have more than 4,000 911 calls. And this doesn't include when the police do a Narcan and they don't accept the ambulance ride. So we'll probably be closer to 5,000 calls this year on suspected overdoses, which has never happened in the history of this county. Have we ever exceeded 3,000? So this county is in a crisis when it comes to substance abuse right now and overdose. And so, I think the most responsible thing we can do at some point is intervene and try to save lives, because the longer it takes for us to do this, more people are dying every single day. And that's my soapbox, and I'll get off of it. But when you look at other counties around the state, the few that have it, 30 seems to be, in large county, 30 beds seem to be the number of beds you need for marchment. But there's no reason that a Baker Act and a marchment bed aren't one and the same, because the treatment is exactly the same. So when you look at beds, it doesn't have to be 30 marchmen and 30 Baker, and maybe it does for your total need, but a Baker bed and a marchment bed should be one and the same.
And we agree with that, absolutely, as we talk to providers and are making plans in the community, and all the best practices that we have and the information that we know of is to have them be dual. So you wouldn't have a Baker Act facility here and a marchment here. You would have them in the same location. So that's
And the other piece
absolutely
that
right.
Commissioner Peters challenged us on is to looking at the data on our jail or on our transport data and see if there are savings that we could redirect. And so that's something that we, as part of this process, we would also be looking at and bringing back to you.
And again, how many Baker Act beds do we have now?
How many do we have now? Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not sure if it was 15.
I'm not sure either.
45. I know we don't pay for 45, but.
How many?
45.
45.
I thought it was 50.
And a big piece of this also is to divert, right? So when you talk to experts on this, it's not all about just increasing beds. We definitely need beds. We don't have enough beds, 100%. But it's not just looking at beds, it's diversion. It's what happens when people leave there to support them. Otherwise, it's just a revolving door. So it's a monster of a problem.
So again, Bill hit the budget. I wanted just to specifically to call this one out, this because this is a big one, and the way we did is to increase our reserves to where we have funds available that we can appropriate during the year, but to take this 6 months and kind of do the system evaluation and bring back alternatives for your consideration.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and move on then if there aren't any other questions about behavioral health on social action funding. During fiscal year 20, the goal is to increase the appropriation for social action funding and put out a competitive grant program to support the continuation of the funding. So what we did was we developed a timeline, and basically what our hope is to have the 9 programs that were submitted for decision
You can put it on the
packages.
slide where they can see it.
You know, some of you that submitted that. We got lots of stuff going on here. So the 9 programs submitted for decision packages totaled $1.6 million. So we would be looking at those. 3 programs that are currently under fiscal 19 county support, we would do those and bridge them for 6 months, and then have available $750,000 across programs for fiscal year 20. So what we would do is we would open up that competition, as you can see here, below here is the timeline for all of the decision packages that we got in. And then what we would do in fiscal year 21 is include all of the funding, which would be $1.5 million. Our old funding and our current, hopefully new funding, would come up to 1.5 and put that out like we've always planned in a 3-year cycle. And I know that Commissioner Gerard, one of your questions was, you know, what are the priorities? The priorities that we had before, currently, food and nutrition, homelessness prevention and support, healthcare for disadvantaged residents, and support services for the aging population. So what we would do is we would bring that to you and say, are these still your priorities? You know, and take it from there, have a stakeholder group that would review these, and as you can see from the timeline there, what our next steps would be.
But the idea is we continue with the program, program funding that you gave under a 1-year agreement last year. That would continue for 6 months while you develop this competitive selection process. The criteria have yet to be set for that, and then the $348,000 would be dispersed for the remaining 6-month period, and then you would be able to roll all of the funding together to have one competitive application process.
Can we get a copy of this?
Sure.
We promise not to send it out into the ethers. Okay.
And no one's.
As long as you approve it, it's ready to go. So,
Question, Madam Chair?
yes.
So this kind of touching base with us on the priorities and confirming that happens before the RFP process?
Yeah, it would be before there are any before we move on, we would bring that to you.
Okay. Before it hits the street?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Gerard, a few people might be watching this now, so.
Say what?
A few people might be watching this now.
Yeah,
so
right,
it's-
right.
They get an application
And you know, we
later
want this
today.
to be
Have a
very
copy,
open
yeah.
and to reach, you know, the folks that we want it to reach, so it's very transparent. So that's social action funding. The next one of the priorities that you had given was homelessness. And we had our homeless leadership board put in a decision package to do a triage. And I met with them and I encouraged them to work with 211 and not create another call center. That's the call center we already have. So they did that. They worked well together. And I know we have Susan here. Susan Myers from HLB, so I want to thank her and Mickey for working on that. So that would be some money that folks would call 211, and if they were homeless, they would be triaged. They would do a screening on them, and they would also input into our system of care and rank them and put them in the system. So that's basically what that one is. Any questions about that?
Anyone?
Okay. Next one is the sheriff's, which Bill already touched on some. $5.6 million support for his decision packages. which include a $500,000 for additional academy positions and addressing the increased needs for the jail, pharmacy, electronic monitoring, and overtime associated with housing federal inmates. And then as far as behavioral health, we would still, recommend continuing our PSET, our top 33, and our PICA, which is already built into our budget. And last but not least is our age-friendly communities. Again, one of the board priorities. We're doing very well. I know you've heard us talk about that. We were designated an age-friendly community. Our plan was accepted. Got a lot of kudos for that as a national best practice. And we are currently implementing our plan and have our next champions meeting with our internal staff coming up in mid-August. And I'll send it back to Bill.
Any questions for Lourdes?
All right. Well, moving on to our environmental stewardship strategic goal area and some of the initiatives there. Our wastewater, stormwater partnership improvements. That group continues to work together very well. They're continuing to meet and develop strategies, and currently the major thing they've been working on is a network flow monitoring study regarding wastewater, and then also the stormwater inflow reduction study, and taking the results of both of those studies, integrating those together and using them to prioritize drainage improvement projects that would improve the stormwater to reduce the inflow. Shell Key, that study is targeted to be completed in late fall. Beach Nourishment, we're currently implementing strategies that were developed jointly by the Public Works Group, Survey, County Attorney's Office, and Marketing Communications. Comp Plan and Building Code, this is really all about Hank. So glad Hank was introduced earlier. That helps me out a little bit. I heard a little bit about what he's working on, but that'll be one of his initiatives. Reclaimed water availability. There was some reference to that earlier. The next stage in that is going to be presenting findings for the South County, and that'll be at an upcoming work session to be scheduled. And then finally, the installation of electric vehicle charging stations by Duke. There are 4 stations that have been completed already. The St. Pete Courthouse, the County Justice Center, the Public Safety Complex, and then also Extension. And then there are additional locations that are underway. Moving on to our next strategic goal area. We talked about transportation just last Thursday, so we've got a pretty good update already going on that and understand the next steps there. As far as the penny, our joint review committee is continuing to meet and developing recommended guidelines that they'll bring to you probably in the November timeframe for approval, and that'll guide how we actually invest those dollars that are dedicated to economic development capital and housing. Sea level rise, the vulnerability assessment is continuing. That's targeted for completion in FY21. Our small business and supplier diversity program is well underway. We've got over 300 vendors certified, so we're pretty excited about how that program is progressing. Lowman and Palm Harbor, you just had introductions again to Chris and also to Nancy, and they'll be leading those efforts and hopefully being able to bring additional improvements in those areas. And then finally, the form-based codes. Renee will be bringing forward to you those form-based codes and starting the adoption process in the November timeframe. And that'll be running all the way through with public hearings through the January timeframe in 2020. And then finally, first-class services. This is one of the other areas that we want to be able to talk about, that we have some additional funds and reserves set aside to be able to help support, and that's the 2020 census. We're still trying to understand a little bit better and working with the federal government exactly what programs and how they'll be implementing the census, and then determining what the gaps are and how we can help address those gaps through our investments to help ensure that there's a complete count.
And so on this particular item, I reached out to Commissioner Welch, who disappeared on me, and to see exactly what we were proposing. And really what it was a placeholder, because we may do more, but we really aren't far enough working with the federal government in terms of how local support could help. So again, we just added that to set aside some funds in reserve in case we need to address that as we get further along in that process. So no specific proposal at this time, but as a placeholder.
Okay.
So as far as permitting service delivery, we do have a consultant on board. He's just started phase 2 of his scope of work. So we're expecting to see some positive results coming relatively soon there. Our website project, that's well underway, and we're going to be starting to do some beta testing relatively soon. Enterprise asset management, very exciting. Public Works actually implemented CityWorks last month, and Utilities is on track to go live in the fall, so a lot of positive movement in that project. As far as flood insurance, that reauthorization is very important, obviously. The program's set to expire at the end of September. The House and Senate both have proposals that have been put forward to extend the program for 5 years. So that looks positive, and we're closely monitoring that. Courts consolidation project that I mentioned earlier. Phase 2 you approved just last month, and we're targeting to begin construction in January. And then finally, performance dashboards. We talked about this a little bit last month, I believe. And what we're really looking to be able to do is continue to leverage the new software platform that we have to be able to introduce some efficiencies in the way that we've been managing our performance. So we're transitioning from Excel manual dashboards into something that's really kind of automatic in a lot of respects, that gives us a lot better visibility and a lot better opportunity to be able to manage in a more effective way.
But on this piece also, they've got the performance dashboards in place, and they're working on the technology solutions to capture and manage data. But they're also working, and Aubrey's going to be working directly to make sure we make this real in departments and how they use information to make better decisions. So that'll be a key strategy going forward.
Yeah, we're really excited about what we've been able to do so far. It's been leaps and bounds in terms of visibility and understanding and engagement with the departments from where it was before. Moving on to our budget timeline and next steps. Obviously, today we're presenting the proposed budget. August 1st, we have a budget information session that's very important to us because we need to set our maximum millage rates. You'll also have an opportunity to be able to provide feedback to us on the proposed budget, which may inform what those maximum millage rates may be. And the reason that we need to do that on August 1st is because on August 2nd, we have to certify those maximum millage rates with the property appraiser so that he can then, in turn, per state statute, mail out the trim notices to all property owners, which will be on or about August 20th. You have your public hearings in September, scheduled for September 12th and the 24th, and then fiscal year 2020 would begin on October 1st. Finally, I just want to remind you that we have a very robust website as it relates to the budget process. We have all the videos from the budget meetings, all the presentations. We have all of our past budgets posted there. We have our link to OpenGov, which is our interactive budget document. I do want to share with you that you've heard about the ADA lawsuit that we had related to our website. We had a settlement for that. Part of that settlement is that we are no longer, we are restricted from posting anything that is not ADA compliant. Currently, the budget document, all 3 inches of it, is not ADA compliant. There are certain pieces that are, certain pieces that aren't. So we're in the process of evaluating exactly what is compliant, what's not compliant, and what's going to take to bring everything into compliance. As a result of that, that proposed budget is not going to be posted on the budget or on the website at this time. Before we get to the adoption of the budget itself, because we're statutorily required to post the budget, we will come up with some solution, and we'll continue to dialogue with you about exactly what that may look like and how that may change what you see today in print.
This is like a last day or two issue that come to our attention. So.
And then finally, I just want to acknowledge and thank you as the Board of County Commissioners, our constitutional officers, our department directors and their staff, our partners, our employees, and really it's on behalf of the public and our customers because that's what this is all about. The budget is really enabling us to provide services to them. I want to especially acknowledge Cecilia McCorkle from our office and Jackie Trainer as well, our 2 budget managers over operating capital. They're integral to being able to bring this budget forward to you. The entire budget staff of 35 people work hard every day to be able to bring this forward. I'm really proud to be able to represent them. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to be able to field those.
Okay, any Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, just again, I don't know if we need to get into it today, maybe next week when we get together. Last year I was concerned about the, I think, 75 new positions that were identified in the budget. on the personnel positions on B23, where you talk about the F18 budget, the FY19 budget, and then the FY20 budget, there's never really a place, and I understand why, but how we're filling these positions. And so just one question, I guess, would be related to your comment that of the 25 positions that you see being hired under the BOCC, really, there's a net 3 new positions. 22 of them, you're saying we're insourcing services that are being done.
It's a combination of insourcing and temporary non-recurring positions. So if there's a project, for example, that is going to take 1 year, or bring on a resource for that 1 year specifically, and then that resource goes away, that's part of that 22.
Okay. All right. So
there's a net of 3 new full-time positions.
Okay.
And so, for instance, we went through them specifically within the budget, an area where we had a contract, and it was cheaper for us to bring that service that we're paying to have that function done in-house. And so then they asked for a position to be able to do that, but they could show the cost benefit of doing so.
of course, those are all fully loaded, and when you
Correct.
compare the two.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was my question for now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else at this point?
Yeah, just
Commissioner
want
Welch?
to, again, give kudos to Bill and his team for a great job and a great product. The unintended consequences of the ADA issue is that we're limited in what we can put out. So what'll be available, Barry, after folks see this, or we're talking about the budget and we say, hey, go to PinellasCounty.org, what'll be out there near term?
We'll have all the budget presentations that have been brought forward. We will have OpenGov will be updated. That should be by the end of this week, probably earlier than that, but saying it a little bit further out just to give time in case there are technical issues and getting the budget uploaded there. And because of the fact that OpenGov has all the data, you'll have the data so you can look at all the numbers, but unfortunately the narrative that accompanies it is not part of that product.
Okay.
But we have certain requirements we must publish and put out by statute. Bill and him and legal are looking at that to determine what we need to put out and what we can do, how we can do it in a manner that doesn't violate the ADA.
And as part of our analysis, what we'll do in terms of what is ADA compliant and what's not, if there are opportunities to bring forward and post part of the budget that is ADA compliant, we'll look to be able to do that so that even if it's not the full documents, we at least have something out there for people to be able to review and understand and be able to be engaged in.
So who's kind of leading the effort on a solution for this countywide? Is it BTS or OTI? Who's
OTI is the lead in terms of being more of a gatekeeper, in terms of making sure that we don't post things on the website that are not ADA compliant. It's really all departments working together, though, because while OTI is helping to facilitate the process, each department is really the owner of the content that they're putting out there. So it's got to be a partnership between the two.
And it's not as simple, obviously, as these are all PDFs and there's no third-party solution to turn that into something that's ADA compliant.
Desperately wish there was.
Microsoft and Google, nobody's come up with something to do that.
Sadly, no. That sounds like a great business opportunity.
Okay.
We do have a consultant engaged that is assisting with this process as well.
Okay. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Good job. As always, thank you to you and your hardworking staff. There's a lot of heavy lifting that goes into going out through all the departments and the constitutionals, et cetera. So,
thank you.
Okay, thank you. We do have a citizen to be heard on this agenda item. Greg Town, please keep it brief since you're also under citizens to be heard in just another couple minutes.
Yes, just on some of the statements he was talking. One is the speaker before the speaker on the agenda item 48 said that half the general budget is for the sheriff's department. And you know, as I heard that, I thought of South Korea, that they draft their youth after they come out of high school. For the first 3 years, they put them in law enforcement. And they're required by, that's one of the requirements. And it's created a system that is almost above reproach. And when you go to the country and see how they live and see their lifestyle in South Korea. And I thought that would be, if half our budget is going to the sheriff's department, and especially to our illegal sheriff, and I read in the paper, he just built, about $1 million mansion or something like that, it was saying in the paper. I really didn't get all the details. But I just thought that would be a good suggestion. If you could try to be leaders maybe in our national reform of the corruption and all the problems we're having, by maybe seeing if you can implement a program like that, making it possible for youth, when they come out of high school, to go into service and get rid of all the military guys we've got that's coming back from Iraq and all these other places and putting them out on the streets. And so I just want to make that suggestion to you guys. Thank you.
Okay, we are now moving on to citizens to be heard. We have Marson Johnson and Stephanie Watson Johnson who wish to speak. This is actually a public hearing agenda item tonight after 6, but if you wish to make your comments now and not tonight, that's fine, because you want to wait? Okay, all right. Next then would be Ted Kay, and his topic is Cruise Port for Pinellas. Let's save that then. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Honorable Commissioners. My name is Ted Kay, and I am the author of Build a Cruise Port at Mullet Key. A copy of this 104-page spiral-bound presentation was previously distributed to your attention back in January 2019. And my visionary ideas on this topic is also covered on my website, tedk.com. The essence of that report talked about how Mullet Key, being the only place west of the Skyway Bridge that could host tall ships that could fit under the Skyway Bridge, I pointed out that building a port in Pinellas would have a significant impact in the growth of tourism, jobs, and tax revenues, all serving the public interest and benefit Pinellas County and the state of Florida. Today's presentation explains how the proposed Enabling Act functions, solves problems hereinafter explained, and why it is necessary to have it in order to move forward with a plan. 1, the bill, when enacted into law, would correct the ownership and title to submerged lands described on the first page of the Enabling Act bill. 2, the passage of the Enabling Act into law would give Pinellas County Board of Commissioners the requisite ability to function and sell revenue bonds with the authority granted to it by the state of Florida. When a good time the commissioners decide to proceed with a plan to build a cruise port, the cruise industry would advance all the funds for studies, engineering, and plan design. Exhibit A in this handout displays a graphic rendering of the future cruise port proposed for Mullet Key. Note the red dashed territorial line in the drawing, and you will see that it comes close to the shoreline of the existing Mullet Key. The goal is to have that red dashed territorial line shifted outward, a distance of a half mile away from the shoreline, to a position of the white dashed lines to correct and restore the riparian and navigational property rights that were inadvertently taken away by the state legislature and given to the Tampa Port Authority in 1970. These riparian and navigational rights can only be restored to Mullet Key with your endorsement, authorization, and communication to the Pinellas County Legislative Delegation to have the enclosed draft of the Special Enabling Act bill, the local bill, be sponsored in both House and Senate chambers of the Florida Legislature in early 2020. Historically, the mistake had occurred with the shift of Hillsborough County territorial line back in 1970. At the same time, the territorial corridor width of Hillsborough County that was created for the shipping lanes needed to gain access to the Gulf of Mexico past Mullet Key and Egmont Key.
Your time is up. You can conclude, and if you wish to enter your comments into the record, we can do that. Someone can make a copy of it and make sure we get a copy of it.
Yeah, so I can just give you my speech. It'll include everything
Yeah.
that I was going to speak to.
Okay.
The only conclusion statement that I would make is
You can
that
make your conclusion
I would
statement.
like to figure out how to get it on to an agenda to consider the act to be approved by the commission so that it can move forward to the state legislature.
Well, I would suppose if anybody here is interested in having that discussion, we can put it on a future agenda. However, it would have to be the state of Florida who would change and allow us to use this area. I personally would be very concerned about dredging in that area and the cause and effect that it could create for Fort DeSoto Park. We've seen the results from dredging and the unintended consequences of tidal and everything else throughout this county. So that's my personal opinion. But if anybody else is interested in looking at it, we can.
Although
I would be,
I'll let the commissioner speak at this point.
I would be, given the issues that we've had at Shell Key
Yeah.
and the Grand Canal, I would be very concerned about the opinion of the Army Corps because they weigh in heavily on any of these issues around our borders. Right? I mean,
correct. I mean, we're already having trouble.
We're already having trouble there, so I don't know how that would compute, plus the Department of Environmental Protection.
If I could add one comment too.
All right, I'm going to let the commissioner speak. We understand your proposal. You've actually been here before, and I'd like to either have you have closure today or have it moved for further discussion. So if anybody is interested in having this as a discussion item, please let me know. Otherwise, I think we're bringing this to closure. Okay. I think we appreciate all the time and energy you put into this, but I don't believe we believe it's a good idea for Pinellas County at this time. So, thank you very much for, again, your time and energy in putting into this. Okay. David Ballard Geddes Jr.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. The District of Columbia was never a 50 state. The district has uniformly established water districts under the veil of an arbitrary government as declared. The district is intending on dissolving the 50 states and assuming themselves as unelected despots and tyrants as declared, emancipating the legislation of the British Brethren as declared, as enumerated from Article 1, Section 2, candidly birthing de facto water jurisdictions as a body politic under the 14th Amendment using a fee simple title variance application stemming from the Magna Carta. In reality, this Constitution, Hamilton's first Constitution, is being used as a medium. It's a hold. It's a false front operation declared as legislative pretentiousness, constituted as a useful art for limited times in Article 1, Section 8, based on reprisal. It's a puppet government using water as a Second Amendment of right, allowing time and measure to aid and abet an internal undertaking, a usurpation of political power based on water assailed as pre-sentiment in the Fifth Amendment, giving rise to Hamilton's Second Constitution, rising therein as fact under Article 3, Section 2, birth thereof as a despotic water jurisdiction under the 14th Amendment, ensnaring the civilian population to direct taxation, taking liberty, property, and life, breaking all 10 commandments in the process of constitutionally sodomizing our children's future vital water supply, dispositive of being sovereign and totally unworthy of heading up a civilized nation as declared. An inherently flawed, unelected, tyrannical British Commonwealth stakeholding system of government, artificial in nature, constitutionally incapable of being honest, absent benevolence in its entirety, declaring themselves to be gods, nature's gods, in total disrespect of Almighty God, spitting in the face of heaven in Federalist Paper 20. Truth being held, in reality, this Constitution is a letter of marque, is an ex post facto law, is a bill of attainder. This government, both therein and thereof, is in a rebellious state of political disarray. This insurgent undertaking is to be apprehended. It shall be spottified, marked in on of as such, and charged on the high seas as felons, and all bonds therein and thereof shall be suspended and subjected. Thank you.
Lenore Faulkner.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Steele and your distinguished commission. God bless you in your work. I am Lenore Faulkner from Madeira Beach. I've been a Florida professional educator since 1967, certified in biology, chemistry, math, science, health education, middle schools, and the gifted. In 1967, the University of Florida sent me to the Space Coast to intern at a new junior high with a weather station. We were #1 in math and science in the nation, maybe in the world. My students' parents worked on the Apollo space project. In 2009, America was number 17 in science in the world. Why? I find myself fighting for education excellence for all students. What is it? I was born at the United States Naval Academy. That is my standard. Teachers are graded on value-added model, VAM. We could grade schools since 2008, and the Science Center, charter schools with VAM. Scoring 5 stars or 5 scars. Remember the 5 failure factory schools and the Science Center charter school in Pinellas. 5 stars or 5 scars. Remember the school system won the Pulitzer Prize for 5 failing elementary schools in St. Petersburg. And I have a 400-page document from the Science Center charter schools in St. Petersburg. Why am I here? In 2003, my son and I graduated from the St. Petersburg Entrepreneurial Academy, sponsored by the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce, which I belonged to for 2 years. I was asked to attend a focused leadership meeting on May 13, 2005. I asked questions to Shorecrest Prep and the Dean of USF St. Pete College of Education. The regional deputy attorney for the state of Florida asked me to come in the back with him and his friend. John Carras's wife worked with me at Pinellas Park Middle. She prayed for me when I had cancer in 7 of my lymph nodes and was home for 5 days without white blood cells. I met John Maroney there, and he asked me to come, and I will still be coming for John Maroney. God bless you all. Thank you.
Greg Pound.
Greg Pound, Pinellas County. I would like to read Psalms chapter 9, verse 17. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and the nation that forgets Yahweh, the God of creation, the God of Israel. The latest thing in the news I've seen, it says more people now are dying of stress than heart attacks and cancer. And we have a saying about your court system here on 49th Street that if you're not on drugs, when they get done with, you're going to need drugs to cope with what they do to you. And they'll send you down to directions for mental health down there in Bel Air and Belcher and give you a script and fill the script and then send you off to get arrested for having the drugs. So what we have now is we have a system that's internally corrupt to the core. We've got illegals running the legals out, and I'm talking about in our government, and somehow you people are going to have to see the number one thing that's causing this stress and this destruction. You need to turn the timer on. It hasn't kicked off yet. So.
Oh,
I guess you must like hearing me. So where we're at is that we're in a system now where the number one problem that's causing this stress, and we have to teach our young people, is sex before marriage. Instead of passing out condoms and putting all the little girls on birth control and wonder why they're dressing around with no clothes, we have to go back to the old school and we have to teach our youth the number one thing, the Creator says in this word, the number one thing that will destroy people is getting physically involved before marriage. And if you love your children, you will tell them, do not get physically involved until you're married. There's a reaping and a sowing and a cause and effect where the Creator says he's not going to be mocked by man, for whatsoever man sows, that shall he also reap. And if we don't go back to becoming a moral people, a people that loves truth, justice, righteousness, and seek those things, we're going to be destroyed. And that's what you see. I know you people deal with a lot of stress here, and what would really help you to help you laugh is just go to YouTube. You don't have to buy the video. Just type in Idiocracy 2006, and just watch that. Watch the court case, and there'll be different sections in that. You can go to YouTube and you just look up the one court trial, and watch the court system. And this is what we've got now. We've got illegal people running our system. And I mean, how do you people deal with it? How do you represent the people, represents the Constitution, and you violate it? And it's just out of control. And this corruption, if you study the book of Daniel, you'll see how the principalities and powers work. They come in through the leadership, through the authorities. That's why the authorities have to be clean and pure. That's why the men who are the leaders, it's not the women who have to get together, it's the men who have to get themselves under control. You do not have sex until you're married, period. That's the Creator's plan. And if that's not passed on, we don't have no future here. You're going to lose all the gifts that God's given to America. Everybody wants to come to America. Look at the south border. Look at the people wanting to come here. Why? Because we have a Constitution. We understand you people are supposed to be held accountable by the Constitution. You took an oath to defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that's what you took a pledge to do. And once we have illegal people like our illegal sheriff, our head chair here, Karen Seals, Ken Welch, their terms were up a long time ago. That's why we have elections. That's why we have this stuff, is to hold people accountable. I mean, these other new commissioners, they're doing a good job. I mean, why can't we have other people in it? I mean, you guys been grandfathered in? You got a hold of the altar and you won't let go of it?
Okay, that is all the citizens to be heard that we have. We next will move to item 51, which is appointment to the Pinellas County Construction Licensing Board. There's 2 vacancies. One is for the fire official, and then for the term to expire September 30th, 2021, and then the North County Building Official for a term to expire 9/30/2022. And applications we have is from Jim Mullican for the fire official and Kevin Garriott for the North County Building Official.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Peters. Okay, unanimous approval. That's great. And then the
Madam Chair?
next.
Just
Pardon
a
me?
quick question on that item.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I was clear on it. On Mr. Garriott, is the status that opened the position for him that a former board member ruled out, or is that comment directed at Mr. Garriott?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's a comment in the notes.
On the applicant worksheet ballot, it's got a comment, well-qualified city building official, former board member ruled out due to residency requirement. So is
Jake's
that,
our assistant guy in this. Do you remember that the state law that we just changed last year allowed
Right.
people not, building officials to not have to live in the county? We modified that, and that's why he's able to come back on the board. He was a very good board member,
All right.
I understand.
the comment wasn't 100% clear who that was directed to or the status of that
Okay.
situation. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the clarity, Commissioner Justice. Agenda item 52, appointment to the Feather Sound. Commissioner Gerard.
Yes, I'd like to recommend Kevin Chambers for the Feather Sound Community Services District. I
Moved.
guess that's a motion.
Yeah.
Oh, second.
Motion by Commissioner Gerard. What is your appointment?
Yeah.
Right.
Second by Commissioner Eggers. Okay, that's unanimous. We'll move on to agenda item 53, County Commission new business items, Largo for Youth. This is a MSTU funding request that Commissioner Gerard has submitted for our consideration.
Yes, the Largo for Youth Football and Cheerleading Association does not have anything to do with the city of Largo. I know that was a question. They are located in Ridgecrest and mainly serve that community. They were asking us for some funds for football equipment for the most part, and also some money for uniforms, which we are not suggesting. But we have I forget what the total is now. The total of the request is $7,300.
That's correct. And Stephen
The
Beal-
original request was $31,609, but we're suggesting $7,300. And Ryan is working with them on perhaps getting some more of the rest of what they're looking for, so.
So they're working with the Y, through our lease agreement with the Y, on some field condition issues that they had addressed as part of those concerns. And I also just wanted to say Stephen Beal's here with Largo for Youth.
Hey. Yes.
So it's pretty much, it's for the field equipment and some player equipment,
Right,
okay?
right.
Not for uniforms.
No, not for uniforms.
Is that correct, Brian?
Commissioner Peters?
Yeah, I just had some questions. So it's not affiliated with the city of Largo at all?
No.
And the fields, they don't use any of the city of Largo fields at all?
No, it's unincorporated fields. These are fields
That are
that are
the YMCA.
next to the YMCA in Ridgecrest.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And that was a motion. I moved that we give them $7,300.
Second. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gerard, second by Commissioner Long.
Have
And I want to thank
question and a comment?
Mr. Beal for all of your volunteerism in many areas, including the Housing Authority. And
And I
this,
just wanted to say that Mr. Beal was Brian's coach when he was playing football
Oh,
in
okay.
Ridgecrest, believe it or not. He doesn't look old enough for that, but
So, Madam Chair?
Commissioner Welch.
Yeah, so I was trying to make the connection. This is Tasker Bill's
yes.
son, right?
Yes.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything that you've done for us, but I do want to hold you accountable for Brian being such a big Packer fan now. So, got to correct that.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to do is just thank staff for the wonderful spreadsheet that shows where everything has gone. Appreciate having that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yep. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We're ready to vote. Okay, passes unanimously. We'll move on to County Commission Board reports and any miscellaneous items. I will start with Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will try to be quick, go through this stuff. If So I didn't know we were going to have the band here today, but I wanted to speak about youth as well and some of the great things that are happening. So I had this week, it just kind of happened on the calendar that I had 3 different sessions with about 100 youth. I just wanted to, Pete, if you've got that, just highlight a couple of these programs. So this is the Summer Training in Youth Leadership and Employment Program, the STYLE program that the Urban League puts on every year. And this happened to be at Gibbs High School. And they provide youth with training in employability skills, leadership development, career development, and college preparation. Later on in the week, Pete, if we go to the next one, I visited the youth farm, and I should have taken some pictures of the actual farm. But these young folks are working in urban agriculture. And the sessions include urban farming, entrepreneurial potential. They go out and visit different urban ag, and there are a lot of businesses like that in the community. Workforce readiness, food systems training and education, and culinary training. And so all that's happening at the Enoch Davis Center, and this is funded partially by our South St. Pete CRA. It's part of that. And I guess with all of these young people, what really impressed me, one of the questions I asked them is, what would you do to change our community and make it better? And they really give you some straightforward answers, whether it's public safety, education, transportation comes up, housing, all those issues. These kids are tuned into that. And the last one was Saturday. I attended a graduation ceremony for Reach Out and Bless Someone. This is at Bay Vista Church of Christ down in St. Pete. And this congregation has given out $10,000 in scholarships since it began that program. And the gentleman on the left is Minister Lorenzo Pollard. And I just want to thank him and his wife Cheryl and Kalisa Dorn for what they're doing to support our youth. So those are just 3 things that I just wanted to share with the commission. The last thing quickly is had a visit from Community Health Centers and their CEO Elodie Dorso and her team, and I think they're making the rounds with all the commission. And they talked about something that I thought was really innovative. They're partnering with Feeding Tampa Bay to create a food prescription program at the new Community Health Center in Lellman. And the program will co-locate medical and food services to address health needs and the food insecurity issues in the area. The way it'll work is medical providers will screen patients using a hunger vital signs screening tool to identify food insecure patients having 1 or more chronic diseases. The patients will then receive a prescription to visit the on-site food bank that'll be right there at that location, and they'll receive prepared food specifically selected to address that chronic disease. The food pantry will be stocked on a regular basis with chef-prepared, medically tailored meals ready for the microwave and shelf-stable foods. And CHCP is working with other partners such as Wholesome Wave to be able to provide patients with debit cards to obtain healthy produce to complement the shelf-stable items. Some of the other things that they'll provide is access to a dietitian, healthy food demonstrations, nudges throughout the day to keep you on track, and I can use that when one of my colleagues sends me, strawberry pie pictures and those kinds of things. We won't name who that is. But the food prescription program will address nutrition-related illnesses for these patients and result in increased food security, increased knowledge of healthy foods, increased intake of healthy foods, and reduced hospital readmittance for dietary-related health incidents, and reduce absenteeism from work due to illness. So just one of the other great things happening in the community. And finally, ran into the Census Bureau rep at Enoch Davis when I visited the kids for the urban ag. And the Census Bureau is hiring right now in Pinellas County. Pat Burke is a local person that I spoke to. $17 an hour, flexible hours, you can set your own hours. And they are hiring right now. They're going to hire more than 3,000 people in Pinellas County. So we'll get this up hopefully on the website. If you're interested, go to 2020census.gov/jobs, 2020census.gov/jobs, and they are hiring right now. So thank you, Madam Chair.
What the heck? Thank you. Commissioner Peters.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. On Tampa Bay Water, they're working on their master plan. Hillsborough County is now focusing on their new projected water shortage that they may have. So I think there'll be a lot of new focus on that master plan. I'm sure Commissioner Eggers will give more information on it. I also went to the signing for Skills. 2 apprentices were signed for Pinellas County, and there's 2 more that are about to be signed. And I was the one in the legislature that got them their original funding many years ago to start Skills in Pinellas County. And I will tell you, I was very disheartened for many years and didn't think it would ever come off the ground. And the fact that they signed 2 apprentices and have 2 more coming for the first time makes me feel like, oh my God, they may actually have something going here. So these 2 young men are going to start at $14.36 an hour. And they have 11 certifications that they have to complete while they're continuing their education, while they work at ABC Packaging. And it's really, I have to commend ABC Packaging for willing to do this. But by the time they finish their 11th certification, their salary will be $25.65 an hour. So without a college degree, that's a wonderful thing. I hope Amskill continues to do the work that they're doing. I did not have a lot of confidence for a long time, and it was really nice to go to this signing and listen to the owner of ABC Packaging and his thoughts on the program, and that gave me a little bit of hope. So there's that. The Youth Advisory Committee is about to get started, so if y'all have suggestions on how we can reach out to youth to get them engaged, we certainly would be open to that and appreciate it. And you probably all know Baycare had a regional announcement about forming a nonprofit to address behavioral health issues. Primarily, it's going to be a marketing campaign to help raise awareness, and we're seeing that in a lot of big cities and counties where there's statements. They're doing it at airports, they're doing it in transit things, they're doing it all over the counties to really start raising awareness on mental health. I'm not sure if that's what Baker's plan is, but I know it's some kind of marketing for the purpose of prevention and raising awareness and education. They also had the health needs assessment this morning, and it should be no surprise that the number one issue that came up to the surface with that survey was mental health and behavior and addiction, the top issues in Pinellas County as far as priorities for health. I did let you know that, I went to the Pinellas Technical College graduation, which is great. I haven't been to a local graduation in a long time. And it was at the Indian Rocks Baptist Church, and the church was full. And again, P-Tech was another one, and I haven't looked at them in years, but there was a little confidence problem several years ago, and it was just wonderful to see the number of kids that graduated from the programs and certifications that they had. It was wonderful and exciting, and I was really thrilled to do it. I did mention that ACTS is not licensed yet, so those 10 beds, although they look really great and they've done everything they need to do, there's an issue with the sprinkling system, so DCF is holding up on that license. Hopefully it will be soon. I pray it's this week. And then I did want to pass this because I do all this data research, and y'all don't maybe know it, so I'm just going to pass it around. I already mentioned it, so I don't have to mention it again. Voted on the decision package. My 3 decision packages were deferred to the workshop date. And so I didn't know how this all happened and how it all works. And so I was really disheartened when I left, when I wasn't allowed to have a vote on my decision packages and everybody else was on theirs. And so I did speak with Barry, and we're all good. He's great. And the work that he and Lourdes and Daisy have done and her team is outstanding. And so I'm really happy with the proposal that they're putting together. I'm happy he's putting money aside so that we've got something for this budget year, and that we can intervene once we have better information to make sure that we're saving lives. So thank you. And really, it's an enormous amount of work that Lourdes' team is doing. The volumes of data and just trying to figure out this big, huge system is huge. And so I just want to commend them on their work and thank you. And so I just kind of threw it out there. I'm learning my whole system, and I got over my little issue. We're all good, but and it's good because next year I'll have a better handle on how everything works. So other than that, one last thing, and I usually don't go so long, so I apologize. I'm kind of excited about this one. Friday I was selected to be part of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation program to do economic mobility, to look at economic mobility. It's part of the National Association of Counties. The Gates Foundation went to the National Association of Counties to select the people they wanted to be part of this program, so I'm not quite sure how my name got out there, but I'm excited to look at a new issue. I've spent so many years on mental health and addiction. You all might be happy that I'm not going to talk about that so much anymore, that I'll have something else to put some focus on. So I'll be in Portland, Oregon next week working on that program for economic mobility, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
It's great. Maybe they'll write us a big check.
Maybe.
So, yes, I know it's always a learning process when you first come on the board, and I think after we left that workshop, we want to tackle this, but in a very strategic way. It's oftentimes what happens with the decision packages in the past has been there's a little bit of, looking at how it fits, and then do we do the whole thing or do we do partial of it? How do we fund it? And so a lot goes into that with the staff. And so while I think, and that's what's happened. So
and it's all good.
And this was my first budget.
Right, your first budget too. So anyway, I think we're proceeding forward in a reasonable and in some ways, a faster track than I expected. So Barry's able, and Daisy and Lourdes have bifurcated the issues and trying to address them very strategically. So, Commissioner Justice, and thank you again. I really enjoyed the PAL band.
Thank you very much. They did awesome.
Oh, why each one ever? I think they get better. They're all super, but it's like, oh my goodness,
August will be a challenge. All right. Not a lot of committee reports. I did want to bring your attention that we got an email today from the supervisor elections that 26,000 ballots went out today for domestic. Domestic ballots went out for the August 27th St. Pete primary, so be aware of that. A couple events I wanted to highlight. Wanted to thank Representative Jennifer Webb, who came to the Lellman Exchange with the Lellman CRA meeting and then did her legislative update for the community. So thought it was great that she was utilizing our facility. I wanted to thank Representative DeSigley, who came on a tour of Lellman with Mr. Moore and Steve Cleveland and I, and really got a taste of what some of the issues are. And he's really committed to looking at some of the things that we've been talking about for a while. So I'm really encouraged by his interest there. So that was good. A couple events coming up this week. Tomorrow night, I will serve as a recording judge for the YMCA Spelling Bee. I don't know what that really means, but I'll be learning that tomorrow night. Looking forward to the event Thursday at the Enterprise Florida Snapshot event. I think that's going to be highly informative. And then that afternoon, I have a tour of the Center for Health Equity with the Foundation for Healthy St. Pete with Joni James. So I think that'll be interesting as well. Friday night, if you're available, there is the kickoff for our CVB Grouper Festival. It is at Albert Wooded Park, downtown St. Petersburg. Worth attending. I also wanted to wish Mr. Burton and Chair Seal happy birthdays in the last week. So it was fortuitous that it worked out on my day today to spend with you, but I wanted to make sure that we brought you greetings. And then I really wanted to, two more things. One, now that we have a date for Tallahassee, if you're interested in going, I would book your hotels today. They go fast and the prices don't do anything but go up from now until January. And then last thing is, I was really excited with the appointments of Mr. Loack, Ms. McKinnon, and Mr. Moore to their positions. One of the first years I was here, I brought up trying to have a unincorporated presence with staffing, and it's taken a long time, but Mr. Burton has made it happen. I'm grateful for his leadership and insight on that. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Long?
Thank you, Commissioner Seal. As it relates to T-BARTA, we are in the process of developing our legislative agenda, and we'll have that ready in our September meeting. Our next board meeting is this coming Friday. We also have a policy meeting and a finance committee meeting and a legislative committee meeting prior to the board meeting. And we will be discussing at policy some very new advances in technology as it relates to mobility and transit options. And one of them I'm really excited about because it's actually in production right now. And it's a drone that carries passengers, one pilot and 4 passengers. And it can go from the rooftop at Tampa International to downtown St. Petersburg in 6 minutes. How exciting is that? Anyway, I thought it was really very interesting. And we're going
for
to,
the air controllers.
well, that is one of the issues that it's not insurmountable, I have been told, and they're working on trying to figure out all that airspace stuff right now. And we're also going to be
Noise
talking.
complaints.
What?
Oh, God. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, come on. So, and we're going to be talking about the cable-propelled transit options that we've heard a lot about from downtown Clearwater out to Clearwater Beach. So that's kind of exciting. I was up in DC a couple weeks ago. It seems like a long, long time ago, but it wasn't. Talking to our United States congressmen and senators on our federal funding for our transit project with PSTA in downtown St. Pete, from downtown St. Pete out to the beach, and that's on target. We should hear a final conclusion sometime this fall, so that was exciting. And last Monday, they had a Transit Minority Transportation Officials Conference over in Tampa that was very, very interesting, and there was a CEO roundtable discussion comprised of our CEO transit operators in the region, and it was very powerful because it showed us how much has taken place over the last 4 or 5 years in terms of finally moving the ball on public transportation. And then a couple days ago, Commissioner Nikki Freed, our Agriculture Commissioner, was here at PSTA, oohing and eyeing over our new electric bus. And did you know that the Department of Agriculture has a division of energy within the department? None of our other agriculture commissioners before ever focused on it. Hank was there, and I was so pleased to be able to introduce him to her. In any case, she has put a real spotlight on that department ever since she's been elected, and I look for great things to come. We're talking about a women's leadership summit right after the first of the year on energy and climate change and sea level rise, and I think that should be very, very interesting, and so stay tuned about that. I also was asked by the Florida Association of Counties to serve on a resiliency and planning subcommittee of the Florida Department of Transportation. I don't know if Jill was ever able to call in, or Hank, but in any case, they spent the last part of the meeting talking very robustly about considering resiliency, flooding, climate change, sea level rise, and how it affects our public health and safety. And in particular, they were talking about, with the tremendous amount of heat that we have, how it can potentially spur wildfires like they've had in several parts of our state, and they anticipate that will have a greater impact on our transportation system. So stay tuned on that. We've already heard from Brian about the legislative day. I did want to share a very interesting experience I had recently right here in downtown Clearwater with the group that have developed the Ring workspace. If you all haven't been over there and looked at that and toured it, it is really fascinating. And I would encourage Barry, I don't know if you've been over there yet, but if you...
No, I've been invited.
You please take advantage of it. It will give you some terrific ideas, especially as we are assessing. You've been over there, Jill?
Oh, yeah, I've toured it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the go.
Good, because it's very new, it's very, futuristic in many, many ways, and they take advantage of the space, the air quality, the smells, the taste, the touch. It's fascinating. And as we begin to study our space needs and facilities and stuff like that, I think it would be very interesting. I want to let you know that we are having our very first ever board meeting of the John Maroney Legacy Foundation Thursday. And we are finally dotting the i's and crossing the t's on putting the foundation in a formalized concept. It's taken us all this time to get through all the dotting i's and crossing t's, but we want to make sure we do it right. And don't forget, please put on your calendars that the next event is February 15th. Okay, you'll be hearing more about that shortly. And one more thing. Commissioner Gerard and I'm not stealing your thunder, but just because, you stole mine. We're at a Habitat for Humanity event, and it was for a new home in the in the Ridgecrest area. And it was really lovely to just be part of that and see all of the good work that Mike Sutton and his folks are doing. So, okay, that's the end of my report, Madam Chair. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. I'll make it really, really quick. Yesterday, I was at the open house at Largo Medical for their new robotics program that they have there. And that was really fascinating because it gave us an opportunity to actually sit down and use the equipment. Needless to say, I'm glad I'm not operating on anybody. It would have not gone very well. But they will be using it for general surgery, urology, and bariatric surgery. It's really interesting to watch and see. All the new surgeons and staff were excited about it. I think it's the only one in the county. So that's the end of my report, I promise.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, because we're a little bit low on time, I'll be quick. We have just on Forward Pinellas, I was not at the meeting this month, but I understand it was a really good meeting. They talked about the Gateway Area Master Plan. I think I sent copies, or Kim sent you copies of the kind of summary of action last Thursday. So there's a lot of detail in that, and at some point I think it would be a good thing to go through, so that folks might be able to get a handle on what we're doing out there in the Gateway area. We talked about some countywide plan standards, really related to transportation decision-making, more dense corridors and that kind of thing to make transit have a chance to be successful, and combining that with land use and also affordable housing. So we did some work on countywide plan standards, and that will be coming to the County Commission in October. We talked a little bit about the Advantage Pinellas Plan, especially as it relates to the active transportation plan, which is focusing on walking and bicycling and that kind of thing, and the safety issues, connectability and accessibility issues. So a lot of that kind of activity got taken care of at the meeting. Talked a little bit about US 19 and the interchanges north of Tampa Road and the alternatives that the FDOT is looking at. That was discussed, and millage rate for next year's budget for the Forward Pinellas will stay the same at .0150. And again, information that you should have gotten in more detail. So on My VA Community, which is the VA community for the Engagement Board, we met with the FDVA, which is the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. Secretary was there, and we had a real good discussion about how our board locally and their board can work together to bring a little bit more value in each of our individual efforts, especially as it relates to all of our 501c3s and what they do, and combining that or trying to marry that with all of our veterans and their needs. So there's some really neat things going on there. The Tampa Bay Water had an executive board meeting. They had some discussion about the long-term master plan, water plan, which again, that was the same week that I was gone, but they also talked about the demand management plan. Tampa and Hillsborough continue to have some of those growth issues and some additional needs, and so the long-term master plan is looking at all of that. Some interesting updates, I think, from the city of Tampa as they are looking more critically, I think, at the TAP project, which is finally somebody's taking a critical look at that. So I'm really happy about that. And so really that's all I'm going to talk about on the executive or the committee reports. I just wanted to touch on 3 or 4 things. Just a reminder, August 7th is the Purple Heart Memorial dedication. Please put that on 10 o'clock in the morning. So I think Zephyr says we're going to keep it at 1 hour, no longer. So it's going to be a warm morning. So Commissioner Peters, thank you for saying that about AmSkills, because those comments that you said about being concerned about where they're heading or where they're not heading, and seeing that effort this past couple of weeks, I think is a good sign. So let's hope for more of that. Also wanted to echo the comments that you said about more Mckibben and the LOAC and that new position, because I think that's something that I too have been looking for since I've gotten on board, to have more focus on our unincorporated area. And I'm really excited about these 3 and what they're going to bring to our residents in the unincorporated area. Let's see, last 3 things. I went on and it's keeping in the spirit of youth. When I went on my Honduras mission trip, we had 20 people go, 5 young people, teenage kids. That was the most exciting part of the trip, because to see their growth and reaching out to the folks of Honduras, the kids of Honduras, having adult conversations with us, having their just an awful lot of opportunities for them to stand up and present and do devotionals, and just watching them grow that week was just amazing. Good young kids, high school age kids, did just really good stuff. So really excited about their futures, and really did some profound work with the people of Honduras. So that was really good as well. I guess the last thing I would say, and I really don't know all the details, but I was watching on TV last night, and sometimes you only get half the story, but in our country today, with all the divisiveness that's going on and the ugliness that we hear and see, I was really depressed after I saw some of our police officers up in New York City being drenched or having water dumped on them as they walked through the streets of New York. And again, I don't know the details behind it, but I think we're better than that. I think this country needs to really start doing a lot of introspection and how we start working together a little bit, and stop being so divisive. It's just gotten out of hand. But it was a lot of laughter. It was humiliating to the officers, but a lot of laughter from people. You could hear it in the I guess all the tapes that were being done of it. So sorry to those officers, and I know that we in this county have a lot more respect for those folks that put their life on the line. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Gerard.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to think that we set a good example for that.
Amen.
Sort of mutual respect and gentility. Let's see. Well, as usual, career sources takes most of my time. At the last board meeting, well, we heard, this didn't happen at the board meeting, St. Pete City Council has voted to purchase the Science Center, to move forward with that, so that will be happening. They still haven't promised to do affordable housing there, although they suggested they might. I would love to see that myself. We had an audit committee meeting and laid out some extra internal control issues that we'd like them to look at. They have kind of a bifurcated contract with their audit firm where they do the basic financial audit and then they do some other things. So we have them looking at things like credit cards and incentive packages and that sort of thing. So I think that will be helpful. We are hiring a consultant to take a look at the things that were in the DOL report, some of which go back 4 or 5 years. So it's going to take a lot of time to look at all those details, particularly like Peachy's salary going back to the beginning and how he got raises and whether they were approved by the board and all that. We have a conference call tomorrow with the DEO because Commissioner Merman
sent an email to the DEO on our behalf. Thank you very much. With kind of a not very genteel tone to it. So they immediately were setting up a conference call to talk about what part we will play in the whole response. So that should be an interesting, Barry's going to be on that call too. I'll have to remember to thank. I don't know, are you going to be on that call?
Might be a good idea.
I don't know how much legal stuff is going to be part of that, but anyway. The habitat thing that we were at yesterday, I believe, was, they said something like the 578th home they've built in Pinellas County, which is mind-blowing to me. And they continue. I mean, they've got huge plans.
Now they're up in Pasco.
Yeah, they merged with the Pasco board. They're just doing amazing things. I will be going to the Mayor's Council tomorrow for us, and I wanted to remind people about our Harris Memorial on Saturday. And that's it.
Thank you. I just have one thing. I think you all already saw the message, but at the Juvenile Welfare Board, we are hiring Beth Houghton. And so.
Excellent choice.
Excellent. Thank you. I actually reached out and recruited her.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
She'll be
so,
very good.
I let that cat out of the bag, but anyway, she will start mid-September. And so I hope, I'm glad that you're all pleased with the choice.
Good choice. All right. Good job.
We are going to resume our meeting at 6 o'clock for our public hearings, and thank you all very much.
Like to ask me that.